This is the part 6 of the novel. For other parts, please refer to the description of this video or the video list on the channel. Chapter 100, Unimpressed. Upon hearing Mrs. Wang's startled cry, Lin Xingyan swiftly dashed towards her room like the wind, pounding on the door and calling out, "Mrs. Wang, what's wrong? I'll call an ambulance for you right away." However, the commotion inside quickly subsided, and then the door swung open, revealing Mrs. Wang stepping out. "Mrs. Wang, you." Lin Xingyan was about to ask how she was as soon as she saw Mrs. Wang emerge. Yet, in that instant, she froze, her mouth agape in astonishment, gazing at Mrs. Wang in disbelief. At this moment, Mrs. Wang seemed like an entirely different person to Lin Xingyan. Her previously dull, somewhat mottled skin now appeared somewhat fairer, even somewhat tender, and the crow's feet at the corners of her eyes had noticeably diminished. The woman before Lin Xingyan didn't resemble a woman in her 50s or almost 60 at all. She looked more like a woman in her 40s, radiating elegance. "Miss, I startled you just now, Mrs. Wang said shyly upon seeing Lin Xingyan's stunned expression. "After taking the medicine, I felt uncomfortable in my stomach. When I checked in the bathroom, I found all sorts of impurities on my skin, so I washed them off, and this happened. I feel like I'm dreaming. I looked in the mirror and I seem to have aged 10 years younger," she said. "I told you, Mrs. Wang, happy birthday," Chen Fan chimed in without any surprise. Mrs. Wang realized that the pill indeed worked wonders. Not only did it make her appear 10 years younger, but more importantly, she felt her cultivation had even advanced. Since reaching the peak of the innate realm after turning 50, her strength had stagnated. But with just one pill from Chen Fan, not only did she become younger, but her cultivation also broke through. She was truly astonished. Age and appearance had always been a woman's greatest concerns, and Mrs. Wang, though a housekeeper, was no exception. Lin Xingyan, standing aside, was wide-eyed. Besides being shocked, there was also envy in her eyes. "Xiao Fan, where did you get this pill from?" Mrs. Wang inquired. "Oh, I refined it when I went to Huahai. I didn't expect today to be your birthday, so consider it a birthday gift from me," Chen Fan replied casually. "What? You refined it yourself?" Mrs. Wang and Lin Xingyan looked at Chen Fan incredulously. Chen Fan could refine pills? What a joke! "Yes, although the materials were given by someone else," Chen Fan confirmed. "Do you have more of it? Can you give one to Miss?" Mrs. Wang hastily asked. Upon hearing this, Lin Xingyan's anticipation soared. "I did have an extra one, but for some reason, I crushed it," Chen Fan said apologetically, looking at Lin Xingyan. Upon hearing this, Lin Xingyan thought, "So you'd rather crush it than give it to me?" In an instant, all her anticipation vanished, replaced by indignation, followed by a resentful declaration, "I am naturally beautiful, I don't covet it, and who knows if there are any side effects after taking it." With that, Lin Xingyan huffily retreated to her room to work. Chen Fan watched Lin Xingyan leave, speechless. He had intended to promise her a better one next time, but she left in such a hurry. Sigh. Mrs. Wang sighed at the sight. "Miss is sometimes too stubborn." Chen Fan shrugged helplessly. He hadn't crushed the pill on purpose, he just wanted to show those like Fu Baishao and Jiang Qingning that the Yin Yuan Dan was nothing in his eyes. Now, it seemed Lin Xingyan had misunderstood. "Xiao Fan, Mrs. Wang called out when Chen Fan remained silent. "What?" Chen Fan asked. "I really hope you and Miss can continue like this, Mrs. Wang said sincerely. Chen Fan finally responded, "Let nature take its course." Mrs. Wang could only feel a little disappointed. Finally, she said, "Anyway, I hope you won't leave Miss. She stopped halfway, hesitated, then didn't finish her sentence. "What about her?" Chen Fan asked, puzzled. "Never mind. If the old lady comes later, I'll let her tell you, Mrs. Wang sighed at last. With that, she went downstairs to continue her chores, and Chen Fan returned to his room to continue his cultivation. The next day, Chen Fan emerged from his room to find Lin Xingyan with a cold expression. "That pill." Chen Fan began. "Not interested." Lin Xingyan replied curtly, then got up angrily and went to work. Chen Fan didn't bother with Lin Qingyan, instead heading to his villa to prepare the beauty elixir as Jiang Qingning suggested. In the following days, news of the Tianqin group's establishment appeared on various media platforms in Jang Nan. The Jiang family in Jiangcheng and the Fu family in Huahai cooperated to establish a new group company, with Princess Jiang Qingning serving as the CEO. This news immediately attracted widespread attention, especially among the big shots who knew about the relationship between the Jiang family and Chen Fan. Combining the company's name, they vaguely guessed that the true boss behind Tianqin Company was probably Mr. Chen. Naturally, Chen Fan was confident in leaving everything to Jiang Qingning to handle, while he focused on producing cosmetic elixirs. The Fu family naturally cooperated fully, sending a large number of medicinal materials according to Chen Fan's needs. Master Chen, there's news about the extreme fishtail grass. One day, Fu Chuan personally brought the medicinal materials and informed Chen Fan. News? Then hurry up and gather it, Chen Fan said. We've learned the exact location of the extreme fishtail grass, but it's too dangerous there, and it's difficult to harvest. Unless the ancestor goes there personally, but the ancestor is currently in seclusion, so we can't harvest it, Fu Chuan explained. Upon hearing this, Chen Fan thought for a moment before saying, tell me the exact location. When things here are settled, I'll go there in person. The extreme fishtail grass was very precious, and since its location was known, it had to be obtained as soon as possible. Okay, I'll have someone accompany Master Chen when the time comes, Fu Chuan said. Accompany me? No need, Chen Fan immediately declined. It's like this, that person knows the exact location, so he needs to accompany you. If Master Chen decides to go, I'll inform him then, Fu Chuan explained the reason. Alright, Chen Fan agreed. After that, Fu Chuan left, and Chen Fan continued to prepare the beauty elixir. It took about 7 days for Chen Fan to finish preparing it, then he informed Jiang Qingning to come and collect it. Jiang Qingning arrived at the No. 1 Tian villa with Jiang Tianxiong. Thank you, Master Chen, for the medicine, Jiang Tianxiong said, bowing as soon as he saw Chen Fan. Jiang Qingning took 2 Yin Yuan Dan pills, one for herself and the other for Jiang Tianxiong. Now, Jiang Tianxiong appeared to be in his 50s at most, much younger than before. As for Jiang Qingning, her skin was even more tender and radiant. Grandfather was very curious about your medicine, so he came specially to see it, Jiang Qingning said with a smile. Let's go inside then, Chen Fan said, leading them in. Once inside the hall, Jiang Qingning and Jiang Tianxiong were immediately dumbfounded. Chapter 101, Departure. Within the villa's lounge, numerous crates of mineral water were neatly arranged. These are it, Chen Fan pointed to the array of mineral water bottles. Jiang Qingning and Jiang Tianxiong gazed at the crates in utter bewilderment. What? What is all this? Mineral water? Jiang Qingning stared at the room filled with crates of mineral water, her confusion palpable as she couldn't help but exclaim, what happened to the skincare products? How did they turn into mineral water? Skincare elixirs, Chen Fan corrected. Are you trying to ruin the reputation of Tianqin Corporation? Selling mineral water disguised as skincare elixirs? No matter how capable or renowned you are, even if you are a medical sage, you won't be able to sell it. Jiang Qingning felt like she was going mad. Tianqin Corporation's flagship product being mineral water? Was this a joke? And she had confidently announced it as a groundbreaking skincare product, only to make Tianqin Corporation a laughingstock? Don't get agitated, my dear. Master Chen wouldn't deceive us. Let's hear him out first, Jiang Tianxiong intervened quickly. Jiang Qingning, upon hearing her grandfather's words, regained her composure and turned to Chen Fan, asking, Chen Fan, are you certain? Absolutely, Chen Fan affirmed, casually picking up a bottle of mineral water. It's not something precious. Isn't it convenient to use mineral water bottles? Even if this is the skincare elixir you mentioned, the quantity is insufficient. At most, it's only 200 bottles. How is this enough for sale? Jiang Qingning furrowed her brows. Chen Fan chuckled at her words, then went to the kitchen, fetched a large basin, filled it with water, and brought it to them. What's this? Jiang Qingning looked at Chen Fan in puzzlement. Just watch, Chen Fan replied briefly. He then picked up a bottle of mineral water, opened it, and dripped a drop into the basin. In that instant, a refreshing fragrance filled the air, causing Jiang Qingning to inhale deeply. This scent is delightful, it smells luxurious. Ignoring Jiang Qingning, Chen Fan quickly closed the bottle of mineral water and stirred the basin with chopsticks, releasing the subtle fragrance once more there. Give it a try, Chen Fan said after stirring, addressing both of them. How do we try? Jiang Qingning asked curiously. However you like, apply it to your skin or take a sip, it's up to you, Chen Fan replied. Certainly, they wouldn't drink it. So Jiang Qingning and Jiang Tianqian each took a small spoonful and applied it to the back of their hands. It doesn't seem to have any effect, Jiang Qingning remarked as she applied it to her hand, seeing no visible change. Your skin is already good, so naturally, there won't be any difference. Look at your grandfather, Chen Fan remarked. Jiang Qingning, pleased with Chen Fan's compliment on her skin, turned her gaze to her grandfather. At a glance, she was astonished. This is incredible, truly incredible. My skin has actually improved, Jiang Tianqian marveled at the change in his hand, even some age spots had faded, just a drop has this effect. This basin alone could fetch tens of thousands, Jiang Qingning's eyes sparkled. The effect of this bottle of water surpasses that of the elixirs you consume for skin care. Hence, it can be diluted for use. You can adjust the ratio as you please, I won't interfere, Chen Fan explained. This concoction was a simplified version of the Eternal Youth elixir, but while the elixir could grant eternal youth, the simplified version's effects were unimaginable. Rest assured, leave it to me. I'll maximize the profits, Jiang Qingning said confidently. With this miraculous skincare elixir from Chen Fan, it wouldn't be long before Tianqin Corporation became the undisputed leader in skincare products not only in Jang Nan district but possibly in the entire Xia country or even the world. Chen Fan, for such a good product, what name do you plan to give it? Jiang Qingning inquired. Yes, such a product deserves a fitting name, Jiang Tianqian added. As for the name, I'll leave that to you. Handle it as you see fit, Chen Fan replied. Rest assured, I'll ensure you're satisfied, Jiang Qingning said confidently. Soon, Jiang Qingning loaded all the elixirs prepared by Chen Fan onto her car. Before leaving, she noticed the modest car parked at the door. Chen Fan, why are you still driving this modest car? You can buy any car you want, even limited editions, Jiang Qingning asked, or I can give you a dozen luxury cars. You can change them every day. This car belongs to Lin Qingyan, Chen Fan explained. Upon hearing this, Jiang Qingning felt a pang of jealousy. Chen Fan was so fond of Lin Qingyan. He could afford cars worth millions or even tens of millions, yet he insisted on driving the modest car Lin Qingyan gave him. It made her envious. Why wasn't it her who met Chen Fan first? Next, I entrust all matters of Tianqin Corporation to you. I am going to leave Jiangcheng for a while, Chen Fan continued. You're leaving Jiangcheng? Jiang Qingning immediately asked, do you want me to accompany you? I'm going to collect herbs. Chen Fan briefly explained his plans with Fu Chuan. Upon hearing Chen Fan's reasons, Jiang Qingning and Jiang Tianqian breathed a sigh of relief, feeling reassured. They were afraid Chen Fan wouldn't return once he left. After bidding farewell, Chen Fan returned to Lin Qingyan's villa. Lin Qingyan had already returned. At the moment, she was holding a beautifully crafted brochure, sitting on the sofa, carefully reading it. Chen Fan leaned over to take a look, surprised to find it was a promotional brochure for Tianqin Corporation. Do you want to collaborate with Tianqin Corporation? Chen Fan asked. Hearing Chen Fan's voice, Lin Qingyan paused, then glared at Chen Fan, recalling yesterday's incident with the elixir that had infuriated her. However, after a day, her anger had subsided considerably, so she wasn't particularly upset now. She replied to Chen Fan, of course, I do. It's just not easy. Tianqin Corporation is a joint venture between the Zhang family and the medical Sagefu family. There will be fierce competition in the media sector. Not only in Jiangcheng but also in the Jiangnan region and even in the Huahai city, those major media companies will all be involved. Rest assured, we will definitely collaborate with you, Chen Fan assured her. You speak as if it's your company. If you're so persuasive, why bother with part-time jobs? Lin Qingyan retorted, not very pleased. Chen Fan shrugged, offering no explanation, and simply said, I'll be leaving for a while tomorrow. Chapter 102, Master of Taoist Arts. Upon hearing this, Lin Qingyan paused for a moment, then inquired, where are you going? For how long? At present, these details are unclear, Chen Fan replied. Upon hearing this, Lin Qingyan felt a surge of anger rising in her chest and said, you're going without any clarity? Aren't you afraid of danger? Moreover, have you forgotten about our contract? I'm supposed to accompany you whenever you call for me. If you leave, how will the contract be fulfilled? Chen Fan felt a bit overwhelmed upon hearing about the contract. There were many terms in the contract, but Lin Qingyan rarely enforced them. However, bringing it up now was indeed a headache. Are you trying to make money? I can increase your salary. Please don't go, okay? Lin Qingyan softened her tone. I must go, but I'll return as soon as possible. Chen Fan shook his head. He definitely needed to obtain the extreme Yin herb. Even if it were placed in the Qingxian star domain, the extreme Yin herb would still be an extremely rare medicinal ingredient. Lin Qingyan could only fall silent upon hearing this, glaring at Chen Fan with anger. As for Chen Fan, he handed Lin Qingyan a bottle of spirit elixir. Why are you giving me mineral water? Are you trying to placate me with this? Lin Qingyan spoke irritably. What's wrong with this man? If he wanted to pacify her, he should have brought something better, at the very least some perfume or lipstick. Yet he chose to bring a bottle of mineral water. How infuriating. This is the spirit elixir for beauty and rejuvenation. Its effects are even better than yesterday's elixir. You can apply it or drink it, but diluting it is recommended, Chen Fan explained. I don't believe you. Lin Qingyan became even more infuriated upon hearing this. She had already let go of yesterday's incident, but now, he was trying to fool her with a bottle of mineral water. This man was truly annoying. Forget it if you don't believe me. Chen Fan placed the elixir on the table and headed upstairs. Lin Qingyan looked at the bottle of mineral water, furrowing her brows. She felt that Chen Fan wouldn't deceive her, but she couldn't understand why she was unwilling to trust him. In the end, she stopped dwelling on it, leaving the mineral water on the table and returning to her room to continue working. Meanwhile, after returning to his room, Chen Fan immediately contacted Fu Chuan. Upon receiving the news, Fu Chuan naturally didn't dare to delay and immediately promised to send someone over tomorrow to pick up Chen Fan and depart from Huahai. After hanging up the phone, Chen Fan naturally entered the state of qi condensation. Throughout the night, there was still no progress in his cultivation, but Chen Fan wasn't in a hurry. He took it slow. Soon, the next day arrived, and Fu Chuan's people came as promised. The one who came to pick up Chen Fan was Heimu, a sign of respect towards Chen Fan. How's that information? Is it confirmed to be true? Chen Fan inquired on the way. Master Chen, to be honest, we can't guarantee the truth of this information. It's just that the person brought something along with his description, which made us believe it's probably true, Heimu replied. What did he bring? What is it? Chen Fan asked with curiosity. He brought Yin crystal stone, Heimu said. If it's really Yin crystal stone, then it's likely true, Chen Fan remarked. Yin crystal stone was born in extremely Yin places, and the extreme Yin herb grew in such places, so this information was probably true. Soon, Heimu brought Chen Fan to Zhang family manor outside of Huahai City. Upon entering the manor, Chen Fan saw Fu Chuan and another elder sitting in the hall. The elder wore a centipede button robe, with silver hair covering his head, giving him a dignified and ethereal appearance. The elder sat in a high-backed chair, with his eyes slightly closed, displaying an arrogant demeanor. He didn't even spare a glance at Chen Fan upon his arrival, showing considerable arrogance. Chen Fan was slightly surprised to sense a fluctuation of spiritual power from the elder's body. Previously, he had encountered martial artists, whose bodies were filled with true qi. When a cultivator succeeded in qi condensation, their true qi would transform into spiritual power. The elder was not a foundation establishment cultivator, yet Chen Fan could sense spiritual power emanating from him. Although this spiritual power was very weak, just a trace, and its quality was low, its strength was comparable to that of an early-stage martial arts master, or even slightly stronger. Compared to him, it was like comparing a drop of water to the vast ocean. There was no comparison at all. Master Chen, you're here, Fu Chuan greeted Chen Fan respectfully. The elder finally reacted upon hearing Fu Chuan address Chen Fan as Master Chen. He glanced at Chen Fan from head to toe, then arrogantly asked, Fu family head, is this the Master Chen you mentioned? Yes, Fu Chuan nodded and turned to Chen Fan. This is Taoist Master Luan Yuan from Huaishi. Master Lu, this is the Master Chen who provided the information about the extreme Yin herb. Upon hearing this, Chen Fan understood. This was a cultivation method similar to immortal cultivation on earth, known as Taoist cultivation, cultivating mystical techniques, or Taoist arts. Compared to martial cultivation, Taoist cultivation required more talent. Thus, the number of cultivators was smaller. On the streets, you could randomly pick 10 people, and at least 5 of them could cultivate martial arts. However, when it came to Taoist cultivation, out of 100 or even 1,000 people, not even one might have the qualifications to cultivate. Those who could cultivate Taoist arts and become Taoist masters were truly rare talents among humans. Therefore, Taoist masters were much more respected and powerful than martial arts masters. In fact, Taoist arts were born to restrain martial arts. Luan Yuan was just at the early stage of Taoist cultivation, but his strength was stronger than that of Blackwood and Baihong, who were both intermediate martial arts masters. If compared to him, it would be like comparing a drop of water to the vast ocean, with no possibility of comparison. You don't know? Even if the medicine saint sees me, he has to give me some face. Luan Yuan's complexion turned increasingly cold upon hearing Chen Fan's words. I really don't know, Chen Fan shrugged indifferently. In that case, I'll teach you today what a Taoist master is capable of. Let you see the power of Taoist arts. Luan Yuan's face darkened, and he spoke in a low voice. After Luan Yuan finished speaking, his clothes moved without wind, resembling an otherworldly being. He waved his hands, and thunderous sounds reverberated in the air. After a moment, a purple thunderbolt, as thick as a finger, appeared in the air. Master Lu, please spare him. Fu Chuan became anxious. Why did he suddenly attack? He knew that this was Luan Yuan's thunderstrike technique, and even his ancestor, Medicine Saint Fu Baishao, would be injured if hit. However, Luan Yuan paid no attention to Fu Chuan's words. With a wave of his fingers, he shouted, "Go!" Following his command, the purple thunderbolt shot towards Chen Fan. The ground cracked, creating a deep pit, with sparks flying, making everyone present extremely nervous. If it had struck Chen Fan, he would have undoubtedly been killed. Chen Fan didn't show any surprise. Instead, he smiled and said, "Such a petty Taoist technique, performed in front of me. Let me teach you what true Thunder Tao is." Chapter 103, Control Thunder, Transform into Dragon. Now, let me teach you what Thunder Tao truly is. Chen Fan raised his right hand, and his voice was like a deep abyss, resonating with every person present. Under the gaze of everyone, Chen Fan slowly extended his palm, facing it upward. At that moment, purple electric lights began to appear on his palm, intertwining with each other and emitting thunderous sounds. Chen Fan suddenly lifted his palm upward, and the purple electric lights in his hand surged out like raging electric dragons, wreaking havoc throughout the entire hall. Each purple electric dragon was as thick as an arm. Everyone present, including Fu Chuan, was dumbfounded, forgetting to dodge the purple electric dragons. This scene surpassed the comprehension of everyone present. Chen Fan seemed like a giant power station, releasing countless streams of purple electric lights. The purple electric dragons rampaged recklessly throughout the entire building, emitting thunderous sounds wherever they went, and everything they touched was crushed to pieces. The once magnificent hall became riddled with holes in an instant. Purple electric Tao technique, purple electric roaming dragon art. Chen Fan lightly exclaimed. He clenched his hand, and all the purple electric lights converged towards one point, constantly twisting and turning. They eventually transformed into a purple electric dragon, half a meter thick, vivid, and lifelike. This purple electric dragon emitted a roar as it flew towards Luan Yuan, who looked terrified. The purple electric dragon opened its huge mouth and lunged towards Luan Yuan, but just before it could bite down, it abruptly stopped. Luan Yuan was already scared out of his wits, collapsing on the ground, with a strong smell of urine emanating from him. Luan Yuan was thoroughly terrified. Controlling the purple electric dragon, Chen Fan smiled faintly and raised his hand. The purple electric dragon let out a deafening roar and soared into the sky, directly piercing through the roof of the hall, creating a huge hole. The purple electric dragon rushed out of the estate, accompanied by the deafening sound of thunder, soaring 90,000 miles into the sky and disappearing into the horizon. Where the purple electric dragon vanished, thunder roared and lightning flashed in the sky, creating a spectacular scene of purple thunderstorm. After lasting for several seconds, the purple thunderstorm gradually dissipated into the sky. The mouths of everyone from the Fu family were wide open, as if their jaws were about to fall off. Luan Yuan lay limp on the ground, his lower body wet with urine, staring blankly at Chen Fan. Chen Fan retracted his hand and smiled indifferently, looking down at Luan Yuan, who was sitting on the ground. He spoke, "Do you deserve my respect?" Upon hearing Chen Fan's words, everyone finally came to their senses. The way they looked at Chen Fan had changed. Initially, they respected Chen Fan because of Fu Baishao's instructions in Chen Fan's alchemy skills. But now, they feared him. Fu Chuan and the others, including He Mu, felt a chill run down their spines. If Chen Fan had harbored any murderous intent when he arrived that day, he could have easily slaughtered the entire Fu family. Fortunately, Chen Fan was not a bloodthirsty maniac. Of course, if this had been in the cultivation world, Luan Yuan would have been crushed to pieces by Chen Fan's power the moment he used his Taoist arts. Now, Chen Fan had restrained his previous penchant for killing. Upon hearing Chen Fan's words, Luan Yuan crawled up from the ground, his lower body soaked with urine, and bowed down to Chen Fan, knocking his head against the ground with a thud, pleading in terror, "Master Chen, it's my fault. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I am sorry." "Enough, go change your clothes and let's talk business," Chen Fan waved his hand dismissively. Upon receiving Chen Fan's words, Fu Chuan hurriedly instructed a servant to take Luan Yuan to clean up and change his clothes. Soon, Luan Yuan changed into a new set of clothes and approached Chen Fan with trepidation. "Show me the Yin crystal stone," Chen Fan said. Luan Yuan took out the Yin crystal stone he had with him and handed it to Chen Fan. Chen Fan took the Yin crystal stone and sensed the gathered Yin energy inside. Surprisingly, there was also a trace of corpse energy mixed in. "Where did you get this?" Chen Fan asked. "Master Chen, our Lu family in Huaishi inherited a sect from ancient times called the Yin Corpse sect. I accidentally found the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect in our family's ancient records. There was a pool of murky water recorded there, known as the Yin Corpse pool. This Yin crystal stone was obtained from there," Luan Yuan explained nervously. "I see. Did you find the extreme Yin herb there?" Chen Fan asked. "Master Chen, I originally came to the Fu family to purchase medicinal herbs. It was only when I saw that the Fu family was offering a reward for the extreme Yin herb that I remembered seeing something similar at the Yin Corpse pool. However, I'm not sure if it's the extreme Yin herb," Luan Yuan replied. Chen Fan pondered for a moment before speaking. "All right, take me there." "Okay," Luan Yuan immediately agreed. "Master Chen, let me arrange a car for you," Fu Chuan quickly spoke up. "This immortal being must be served well." "No need. I want to take the high-speed train to Huaishi." Chen Fan immediately declined. Fu Chuan and the others were momentarily stunned. Given the Fu family's wealth, the least they could arrange was a Rolls-Royce. "Get me tickets," Chen Fan continued. Chen Fan truly intended to experience the mortal world more during this trip. Fu Chuan naturally obeyed and ordered someone to purchase high-speed train tickets directly to Huaishi for Chen Fan and Luan Yuan. 2 hours later, Chen Fan and Luan Yuan appeared on the high-speed train to Huaishi, seated in the most expensive business class, courtesy of the Fu family. "Tell me the truth," Chen Fan said as the train moved. "What truth?" Luan Yuan appeared nervous. "I know more about the place you called the Yin Corpse pool than you do. Don't try to deceive me with stories about your Lu family inheriting some ancient Yin Corpse sect. I spared you face at the Fu family, but I won't let you fool me. Speak the truth now." Chen Fan narrowed his eyes as he held the dark Yin crystal stone. The Yin crystal stone was indeed formed where Yin energy gathered, making it an ideal place for cultivating Yin energy or some peculiar creatures. For example, if Xiang Shui started cultivating there, she would make rapid progress with the abundant Yin energy. However, there was also a trace of corpse energy within the Yin energy, and Chen Fan had a rough idea that the pool water nurtured corpses. Luan Yuan realized he couldn't hide it any longer and began to speak. "There, I encountered a terrifying monster. I came to the Fu family this time to seek assistance from the medicine saint with the news of the extreme Yin herb, but in reality, I was hoping to obtain help." Chapter 104, A New Goal. "So, you mean your cultivation method also came from there?" Chen Fan immediately discerned the underlying meaning in Luan Yuan's words. Luan Yuan looked embarrassed and spoke. "Our Lu family does have some connection to the Yin Corpse sect through our ancestors, but it's just a minor role. There's no such thing as an inheritance. However, there is indeed an ancient book in the clan that led me to the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect. I found a pill there, which, when consumed, allowed me to cultivate. Otherwise, I would have remained an ordinary person." This time, Luan Yuan didn't hide anything. He revealed everything about himself. He could cultivate because he found a pill in the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect, which transformed him into a cultivator. However, after reaching the Taoist master realm, he suddenly felt a bottleneck in his cultivation. He hadn't made any progress in many years, prompting him to think about returning to the ruins to search for treasures. During that visit, he encountered a sinister monster. He had come to the Fu family to seek assistance from the medicine saint with news of the extreme Yin herb, but in reality, he hoped to get help to kill the monster and obtain what he needed. So, when Fu Chuan said you were Master Qin, my instinctive reaction was, is this a death wish? So, I intended to teach you a lesson and make you back off. But who would have thought that you, Master Qin, possessed such extraordinary power? Luan Yuan laid out everything clearly to Chen Fan, even feeling fortunate to have encountered him. With Chen Fan's power, perhaps they could indeed kill the monster. However, whether they could obtain the treasure afterwards was another matter. But at least, they would have a chance. That monster should be a snake or dragon that has undergone a corpse transformation, Chen Fan said after listening. A dragon? Luan Yuan exclaimed in shock. Do dragons really exist in this world? No dragons? Chen Fan asked. Luan Yuan fell silent. He had only speculated. In any case, let's go take a look, Chen Fan said, closing his eyes to contemplate some things. I used to think that this earth was only about martial arts. But now it seems that there's more than just martial arts here. Chen Fan closed his eyes, recalling everything he had encountered since arriving on Earth. First, there was the Ling array for cultivating silver leaf fairy orchids. Then came martial arts, and Chen Fan had always thought that Earth was only about martial arts cultivation. However, he unexpectedly encountered Gu Chong, who practiced Gu techniques. After that, there was Luan Yuan, who practiced a form of cultivation similar to immortal cultivation. Now, there was this Yin Corpse sect, probably practicing necromancy. Therefore, Chen Fan suddenly felt that Earth was not as simple as he had imagined. It was not just a mundane world of mortals. This planet had once experienced an era of immortal cultivation, but it had come to an end or nearly ended, leaving behind an incomplete legacy of cultivation methods that evolved into martial arts, cultivation, and various other practices. Thinking about it, Chen Fan's mind suddenly lit up. After leaving the Qingxian Star region, he had many choices for where to go. He had even made his mind up several times, getting close to certain worlds. However, inexplicably, he gave up each time, and before he knew it, he had crossed countless star regions and ended up near Earth. He hadn't hesitated at all, simply landing on this planet. I was definitely guided here, guided by the Chaos Pearl, Chen Fan speculated, his heart moved as he affirmed his guess. The Chaos Pearl is truly mysterious. There's so much about it that I don't understand. Chen Fan had carried the Chaos Pearl for over 200 years. During that time, he had never stopped trying to comprehend it. However, he felt that he had only scratched the surface. For example, changing his spiritual roots and purifying spiritual energy for cultivation were just the beginning. But he was sure that the Chaos Pearl couldn't only be used for those two purposes. He just hadn't comprehended it fully yet. It seems that I not only need to break through to the divine transformation realm, but also need to find out why the Chaos Pearl guided me here, Chen Fan added, seemingly setting himself a new goal. Time passed unknowingly, and after about 10 hours of traveling on the high-speed train, they arrived in Dingzhou City, Huaishi, the next morning. Master Qin, Dingzhou City is the largest gathering place for medicinal herbs in Huaishi. Do you want to take a look here? After getting off the train, Luan Yuan asked Chen Fan. How does it compare to the market in Huahai? Chen Fan inquired. It's larger than the one in Huahai, but the quality varies. Occasionally, rare herbs appear, like the emerald fire lotus 3 months ago. However, one must have discerning eyes, otherwise, it's easy to be deceived, Luan Yuan explained. Chen Fan was surprised to hear about the emerald fire lotus. It was a good thing for cultivators, usable even in the Yuan infant stage. Moreover, it was useful for removing Yang Shue's cold poison. Let's go and take a look, Chen Fan said. He didn't have any problems with discerning herbs. Furthermore, his villa hadn't been planted with spirit herbs yet, not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't find suitable ones at the Fu family's place. So, he wanted to see if he could find some worth planting here. Alright, let me lead the way, Luan Yuan said eagerly, showing Chen Fan around the largest herb market in Dingzhou City. From afar, the rich aroma of traditional Chinese medicine filled the air. Master Qin, what would you like to buy? Ginseng, snow lotus, lingji. Luan Yuan asked as they walked. Let's look at the age. I only need ones that are very old, the older, the better, Chen Fan replied. Luan Yuan was momentarily stunned. The older, the better? These were not the mythical 1,000-year-old lingji or 10,000-year-old ginseng from cultivation novels. In herbal medicine, the principle of compatibility was important, with each herb serving a different function, like monarch, minister, assistant, and envoy. Even an outsider like him knew this. But of course, he didn't dare to refute. The man beside him was the legendary Master Qin, the one who commanded thunder and transformed into a dragon, soaring to 9,000 miles. So, whatever he said was right. Chapter 105, The Medicinal Herb Auction. Luan Yuan escorted Chen Fan to a venerable establishment in the medicinal herb market. Summon your shopkeeper forth and inform them that Master Lu has arrived, he commanded upon entry. Once inside, Luan Yuan immediately began to speak with an air of haughty confidence. Upon hearing this, the staff hurriedly went inside, and an elderly gentleman hastily emerged from the back. Master Lu, what brings you here? Why did you not inform us in advance? The elder said respectfully, nodding and bowing to Lu with great deference. Luan Yuan was now exceedingly pleased with himself. In Huaishi, he held such a position that wherever he went, he was treated as an esteemed guest. Even though Tianqin had been established for over 200 years and was considered a major chain of medicinal halls in Ding Prefecture, they still showed utmost respect upon encountering him. Enough with pleasantries. Do you have any precious herbs here, preferably aged ones? Bring them all out, Luan Yuan arrogantly demanded. We do have some precious herbs, but unfortunately, all the aged ones have been sold out, the shopkeeper replied, wearing a troubled expression. Sold out of all the aged herbs? Luan Yuan was momentarily stunned. Indeed, Master Lu. I speak the truth. Anything over 30 years old has been completely sold out, not only here but throughout Ding Prefecture, the shopkeeper continued. All the herbs over 30 years old sold out throughout Ding Prefecture? That would amount to billions, wouldn't it? Who has such deep pockets? Luan Yuan was visibly unsettled upon hearing this. Buying out all the herbs over 30 years old? Ludicrous. It was a lady surnamed Lu from Huandao City, seems she's from the Lu family of Lu Media Group, the shopkeeper informed. Lu family from Huandao City? Luan Yuan's brows furrowed upon hearing the origin. Could it be the Lu family from Lu Media Group, the top-tier aristocracy of Huandao? Yes, indeed, that's the one. She seems to be the young miss of the Lu family, quite generous, the shopkeeper confirmed. Of course, she's generous. Lu Media Group is one of the top aristocratic families in Huandao, boasting numerous top-tier celebrities and even some international A-listers. I recall, 3 years ago, Mr. Lu was listed in the Forbes Global Billionaires list, ranking 56th, Luan Yuan added. No wonder she's so lavish, spending billions like spending a few bucks, the shopkeeper sighed in admiration upon learning the lady's background. In that case, let's go, Chen Fan, not wanting to waste any more time, interjected. Luan Yuan could only acquiesce. He had originally intended to curry favor with Chen Fan, but encountering a super-rich tycoon changed his plans. They had to leave. Master Lu, if you truly wish to purchase, why not attend the auction? Suddenly, the shopkeeper suggested. Which auction? Chen Fan, now curious, inquired. Chen. Sir, that place is more accurately described as a black market than an auction, Luan Yuan clarified. A black market? Chen Fan frowned. What kind of black market? Is it a free-for-all? Of course not. That auction is known as the underground auction. It deals exclusively with medicinal herbs, but the origins of these herbs are unknown, and there's no guarantee of authenticity. The organizers bear no responsibility, Luan Yuan explained. So, it's all about one's discerning eye. If you're lucky, you might find something good, but if not, you're swindled. That's why I call it a black market, Luan Yuan concluded. Have you ever been swindled? Chen Fan asked. Swindled multiple times, with losses amounting to billions. That's why I dare not go again, Luan Yuan admitted somewhat awkwardly. Chen Fan was speechless. It was truly unfortunate, he even felt some sympathy for Luan Yuan. So, let's not go, Luan Yuan reiterated. I'll go. I want to take a look. When does it start? Chen Fan persisted. Luan Yuan, feeling helpless, looked at the shopkeeper. 3 days from now, the shopkeeper replied. 3 days, Chen Fan pondered for a moment, then handed a prescription for Xiaopei Yuan Dan to the shopkeeper. Just get whatever ingredients you have, I'm not concerned about the age. With 3 days to spare, might as well occupy oneself. Making some Xiaopei Yuan Dan on the side wouldn't hurt. Taking the prescription, the shopkeeper glanced over it. While some rare ingredients were listed, the age was not a concern. Fortunately, they had them in stock. Soon, Chen Fan and Luan Yuan left with a pile of herbs. Leveraging Luan Yuan's reputation in Ding Prefecture, they were accommodated in a 5-star hotel. In the hotel, Chen Fan casually refined 30 Xiaopei Yuan Dan pills before awaiting the start of the auction. 3 days passed quickly, and the day of the auction arrived. Luan Yuan brought Chen Fan to Dinghu Manor. There were many security guards stationed around the manor, checking the credentials of those entering. This is a private place. Without an invitation, you are not allowed inside, a guard stopped them at the entrance. Do you know who I am? Luan Yuan asked coldly. Regardless of who you are, without an invitation, you cannot enter, the guard replied professionally. I am Luan Yuan. I don't need an invitation. Just inform them, and someone will come to receive me, Luan Yuan stated. Upon hearing this, the guard, seeing Luan Yuan's dignified demeanor, thought to himself, could this be someone important? It's better to inform them, to avoid any embarrassment. With that thought, the guard prepared to go inside. Isn't that Master Lu? At that moment, a surprised voice rang out, and a wealthy-looking man stepped out of an Audi, quickly walking over. Master Lu, I heard you were injured. Are you all right? Mr. Li, the boss, asked Luan Yuan upon reaching him. Upon hearing about the injury, Luan Yuan's face flushed with embarrassment. Why bring up such a trivial matter? He quickly changed the subject, saying, Mr. Li, perfect timing. I decided to attend this auction unexpectedly, so I didn't bother getting an invitation. I'll rely on your presence to get in. Of course, of course. When the time comes, I'll rely on Master Lu to guide me, Mr. Li said to Luan Yuan. This auction was indeed shady, with various untraceable items and no guarantees. Yet, there were often valuable items. Whether you could acquire them depended solely on your discernment. While Luan Yuan's discernment was lacking, he was ruthless in his actions. Although he had been swindled numerous times, he had also outwitted many others, earning himself quite a reputation in Ding Prefecture. With him around, those who resorted to underhanded tactics dared not deceive him, or if they did, they used sophisticated methods. If one fell for such advanced tactics, there was nothing to be done but accept it. Therefore, with Master Lu present, much trouble was saved. Seeing this, the guards didn't stop them any longer and allowed them to pass. Chen Fan followed Luan Yuan and the chubby boss into the manor. Master Lu, what brings you here? Hello, Master Lu. As they entered, many people recognized Luan Yuan on the way and warmly greeted him. For those who didn't know him, they looked puzzled. Was he truly such a big shot? Instantly, someone explained that Master Lu was a martial arts master, capable of summoning thunder and miracles. Listening to this, Chen Fan couldn't help but laugh. This Luan Yuan, who had frightened people to the point of wetting themselves, apparently had some skills in Huaishi. What nonsense, Master Lu. Isn't he just a money-sending boy? Just as Chen Fan was pondering, a disdainful hum rang out. Chapter 106, The Strange Dead Branch. The money-sending boy hasn't been here for a long time. Is he here to send money again? A mocking voice rang out, pointing directly at Luan Yuan. Upon hearing this voice, Luan Yuan's face darkened, and he looked towards the speaker. Chen Fan also turned his gaze in the same direction. The speaker was a man who appeared to be in his 30s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. He had an above-average appearance and a somewhat aristocratic air. However, what caught people's attention more than the man himself was the woman accompanying him. She was tall and slender, with delicate features that seemed sculpted. Her eyes, in particular, shone like gems, and her aura was exceptionally imposing, dominating the entire scene. As soon as the woman appeared, she immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. It's Miss Lu. She's really beautiful. None of the celebrities from Lu Media Group can compare to her. Many people began to comment. The woman was none other than Lu Ziyin, the young lady of the Lu family in Huandao City. However, while everyone's attention was focused on the woman, Chen Fan's gaze fell on the elderly man accompanying her. The old man was casually dressed in a plain tang suit, walking calmly by Lu Ziyin's side. Another Daoist grandmaster. Chen Fan glanced at the old man and sensed the fluctuations of spiritual energy within him, stronger than Luan Yuan's. Like Luan Yuan, this old man was also a Taoist grandmaster, but his spiritual energy was even stronger than Luan Yuan's. Of course, the difference between them was like a drop of water becoming 2 drops, insignificant to Chen Fan, but it made a world of difference to Luan Yuan. Luan Yuan, having been humiliated by the man, looked towards Chen Fan, but Chen Fan ignored him. Obviously, he wasn't going to stand up for him, so Luan Yuan took the initiative to step aside and let the 3 of them pass. Luan Yuan, you know your place. The man walked past Luan Yuan with a disdainful snort. Luan Yuan remained silent, watching the 3 of them enter the auction hall. That's Zhang Xiuqing, the 3rd son of the Zhang family, Luan Yuan said to Chen Fan after they entered. You seem quite afraid of him. Is the Zhang family powerful in Huaishi? Chen Fan asked, noticing Luan Yuan's submissive attitude. The Zhang family is the king of Huaishi. A family like that has deep roots. The Fu family can only look up to the Zhang family. In their eyes, a Taoist grandmaster like me is nothing. And as you saw, he's with Lu Ziyin. 2 powerful families. I dare not say a word, Luan Yuan explained. Let's go in, Chen Fan said. He could tell that there was enmity between Luan Yuan and the Zhang family, but the Zhang family was too powerful, and Luan Yuan couldn't seek revenge. However, that had nothing to do with him, and he certainly wasn't going to avenge Luan Yuan. With that, the 2 of them entered the venue. The auction itself was irregular, with no guarantees or responsibilities. Therefore, it was full of deception, and what you could acquire depended solely on your discernment. After entering, the first item up for auction was a 300-year-old ginseng, but no one bid on it, as everyone present believed it to be a fake, so the seller could only leave in disappointment. The second item was a 200-year-old lingji mushroom, which Lu Ziyin bought for 12 million. She's really rich. Everyone couldn't help but marvel. Lu Ziyin dared to bid because she was confident that the lingji mushroom was genuine. After that, one item after another was brought up for auction. As long as they were genuine, Lu Ziyin bought them at high prices, causing everyone present to raise their eyebrows in surprise. Too rich. She must have spent nearly 3 billion by now. However, Lu Ziyin's discernment is also amazing. Many people continued to comment, marveling not only at Lu Ziyin's generosity but also at her discernment. Almost every item she bought was genuine, leaving no room for deception. Many people immediately understood that Lu Ziyin must have a master by her side. Meanwhile, Chen Fan hadn't bid on any medicinal herbs because he simply couldn't muster any interest. Everyone, the next item is a test of your discernment, the auctioneer announced loudly, unveiling a piece of rotten dead branch on the tray. What is this? It's just a rotten branch, isn't it? Damn, it's really black. Just a piece of wood is being auctioned. After the dead branch was presented, people began to speak out. What's this? Chen Fan looked at the decaying dead branch, his eyes suddenly lighting up. Master Chen, do you recognize this? Luan Yuan became excited when he saw Chen Fan's reaction. Anything that caught Chen Fan's attention couldn't be ordinary. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely extraordinary. Try to buy it at all costs, Chen Fan immediately said. Looking at the dead branch, it was impossible to tell what it was, but Chen Fan sensed a life force emanating from it. The life force wasn't much, but it showed no signs of decline. Instead, it exuded a vibrant vitality. With the right conditions, it could rejuvenate the dead wood. Luan Yuan, upon hearing this, became eager to buy it himself, hoping to wash away his reputation as the money-sending boy. Starting price, 10 million. Each bid must be at least 1 million. Please make your bids, the auctioneer announced loudly. However, the starting price caused many people to sneer. They were clearly prepared to fleece someone 10 million. However, Luan Yuan immediately raised his paddle. Many people saw Luan Yuan raise his paddle and immediately laughed. Ha, the money-sending boy is here to send money again? Zhang Xiuqing sneered openly. Upon hearing this, everyone laughed, and Luan Yuan's reputation as the money-sending boy seemed to have been solidified. 25 million. But just as everyone was laughing, a clear voice rang out. Everyone was stunned for a moment and looked towards the person who raised the paddle. It was none other than Lu Ziyin. Miss Lu, what's this? Zhang Xiuqing looked at Lu Ziyin in surprise. Lu Ziyin glanced at Zhang Xiuqing without replying and turned to the auctioneer, waiting for him to count down. Although each bid had to be at least 1 million, Lu Ziyin directly raised the bid by 10 million, indicating her determination to win 25. 5 million. Luan Yuan followed suit, 30 million. Lu Ziyin immediately increased the bid without hesitation, 40 million. Luan Yuan also raised the bid. And Lu Ziyin followed suit. The two sides immediately entered a bidding war, raising the price to an astonishing 200 million. And this 200 million was the price Luan Yuan bid on behalf of Chen Fan. Chapter 107, Enemies Meet Again? The people present were shocked when they heard this price. This was the highest price ever since the auction of this medicinal herb began. Could this thing really be extraordinary? It's just a dead branch. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like a medicinal herb. Are you kidding me? Miss Lu has placed a bid. Has she ever missed anything today? But Master Lu also bid. He's the money-sending boy. Many people were amazed by the price, unsure whether this item was good or bad. One side has always been correct, and the other is the money-sending boy. People can't tell whether this thing is good or not. 200 million once. 200 million twice. 200 million three times. After the bidding reached 200 million, Lu Ziyin seemed to hesitate, and the auctioneer began to count down to 10 million. However, after hesitating for a moment, Lu Ziyin continued to bid. Luan Yuan heard Lu Ziyin's bid, and his eyelids twitched. He looked at Chen Fan. Continue bidding. The bottom line is 300 million, Chen Fan said. In Huaishi, Chen Fan currently had limited funds at his disposal. If he were in Jang Nan, he could easily mobilize tens of billions. Luan Yuan nodded and followed suit, 220 million. 250 million. Lu Ziyin bid again without hesitation. 300 million. Luan Yuan followed suit, adding 50 million was both a demonstration and a warning. It meant we still have money. But this was also a tactic. Lu Ziyin hesitated for a moment and then said, 350 million. Luan Yuan couldn't stand the price anymore. The Lu family in Huandao City was too wealthy. This 350 million was just a drop in the bucket to them. The money they used was all in US dollars. Master Chen, this arrogant woman really doesn't know her place. Should we take action later? Luan Yuan whispered to Chen Fan. Chen Fan shook his head. He couldn't determine what the dead branch really was. For something uncertain, killing people for treasure might be something the Chen Fan of the cultivation world would do. But now, Chen Fan wouldn't do it. Forget it, Chen Fan replied. Chen Fan was somewhat puzzled as to why Lu Ziyin wanted to buy this dead branch. To cultivate this thing, you needed a spiritual array, and the grade of the spiritual array couldn't be low. Probably only he could set up such an array. The other possibility is alchemy. But since I don't know what this thing is, how to match it with other medicinal herbs is a problem, even for me. And how did the Lu family know that this thing is extraordinary? Chen Fan felt somewhat strange. To be honest, Chen Fan was curious about that life force, but it wasn't something he absolutely had to know, so it wasn't a must-buy item. On the other side, after Lu Ziyin saw Luan Yuan give up, she disdainfully said, "Can't afford to play, a country bumpkin wants to compete with me." Zhang Xiucheng, on the side, spoke up, "Miss Lu, isn't Luan Yuan always bad at discerning? Is he deliberately raising the price? What do you know?" "This is a divine medicine," the silent old man beside them spoke up. "A divine medicine?" Zhang Xiucheng was surprised and asked the old man. At this moment, the staff of the auction house delivered the dead branch to Lu Ziyin. "Master Gu, are you sure?" Lu Ziyin asked. Master Gu nodded and said, "There is a life force inside it. If there is a suitable place, it can rejuvenate, grow, and even bring the dead back to life." Lu Ziyin and Zhang Xiucheng were shocked to hear this. This was truly a life-saving treasure. It deserved the title of divine medicine. "Master Gu, should we choose a?" Lu Ziyin asked. "If my ancestor were still here, perhaps he could bring it back to life. But now it's impossible," Master Gu said again. "Then it's useless to buy it," Lu Ziyin said anxiously. She had traveled to several famous medicinal cities in Xia country, except for Huahai City. If it weren't for Master Gu's strong insistence on buying this dead branch, she wouldn't have spent so much money. With so much money, why didn't she go to the Fu family in Huahai City to buy high-grade medicinal herbs? "Miss, don't worry. Although it can't grow, it can be used for alchemy. But first, we must go to another place to get another divine medicine," Master Gu said. Another place? Where? Lu Ziyin asked immediately. We'll have to rely on young Master Zhang, a descendant of the Yin Corpse sect, to take us to Yin Corpse pool, Master Gu said to Zhang Xiucheng. Zhang Xiucheng's mouth twitched when he heard this. He said, there are monsters there, and it's dangerous. Monsters? Lu Ziyin asked curiously. Yes, according to the elders of the clan, there is a strange creature there, neither human nor ghost. It's said that going there will kill people, Zhang Xiucheng said. With me here, no matter what kind of monster it is, I will kill it with one sword. Master Gu said proudly. Meanwhile, Chen Fan and Luan Yuan left the auction house. They gained nothing this time, but Luan Yuan's mood was still okay. After all, every visit to the auction house was a loss before, but this time, there was no loss, which counted as a gain. It's just that being robbed of something by a little girl still made him slightly uncomfortable. That little girl from the Lu family really doesn't know her place. Wandao City is no longer what it used to be 10 years ago. And the mainland of Xia country is no longer the same as 10 years ago. It's just that Master Qin is broad-minded and doesn't care about her, Luan Yuan said, trying to flatter. Don't waste time. Take me to Yin Corpse pool, Chen Fan said to Luan Yuan. He was no longer concerned about the previous matter. I'll rent a car. There's no more transportation going there, Luan Yuan said. Then, relying on his connections, he rented a luxury car and headed straight to their destination. After a day and night of driving within Huaishi, they arrived at an ancient town. Luan Yuan, familiar with the area, led Chen Fan into the ancient city and checked into the most luxurious hotel in the town. However, in the lobby of the hotel, Chen Fan and Luan Yuan frowned when they saw Lu Ziyin and Zhang Xiucheng entering the hotel with 7 bodyguards. Could this be a case of enemies meeting again? Luan Yuan sneered. Chapter 108, breaking the formation with ease. Chen Fan didn't expect to encounter Lu Ziyin and her group in this small ancient town. And, of course, they didn't notice him but rather Luan Yuan. In the eyes of these people, a young man like Chen Fan staying by Luan Yuan's side most likely meant he was Luan Yuan's disciple, or even just a servant. However, Chen Fan didn't want to pay attention to these people or get into a fight here because of the auction. It wasn't necessary. So, he took the room card and entered the elevator with Luan Yuan. Why is that Luan Yuan here? Does he also want to go into the mountains? Zhang Xiucheng frowned as he watched Luan Yuan enter the elevator. What's the origin of this Luan Yuan? First, he competed with me for the divine medicine, and now he wants to enter the mountains? Lu Ziyin heard Zhang Xiucheng mention that the other party also wanted to enter the mountains and asked about Luan Yuan's background during the auction. Lu Ziyin didn't care about such a minor character like Luan Yuan. She just treated him as a country bumpkin. Luan Yuan's ancestors were servants of the Yin Corpse sect. They were essentially servants of the Zhang family. However, this kid got lucky. He found some clues from ancient books left by his ancestors, which allowed him to be the first to discover the site of the Yin Corpse sect and get rich from there, Zhang Xiucheng explained. The ruins of the Yin Corpse sect really have treasures? Lu Ziyin's eyes lit up. Originally, she was skeptical about whether there were any good things in the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect, but now it seemed possible. Miss, 200 years ago, the Yin Corpse sect was quite powerful. There were many Dao masters and even several grandmasters. Not only that, but there were also several grandmasters of Taoism. However, when the foreign powers invaded Xia country, they brought a large number of firearms, and then there were various supernatural beings. In the end, the Yin Corpse sect was defeated by the foreign powers' supernatural beings and was wiped out. Those descendants were scattered, some died, some established families, and the Zhang family was the largest branch of the Yin Corpse sect, Master Gu explained to Lu Ziyin. At that time, those supernatural beings rushed into the Yin Corpse sect to seize its treasures, but something seemed to have happened, and in the end, they only took away a part of them, leaving some behind, waiting for the next time. However, there was no next time. The Xia country revived, and those supernatural beings couldn't set foot in Xia country, so there must still be a lot of treasures in that place, Master Gu elaborated. Lu Ziyin smiled faintly at Zhang Xiucheng and said, Young Master Zhang, I'll rely on you to lead the way this time. You're too kind. It's my honor to do something for Miss Lu, Zhang Xiucheng flattered. After speaking, Zhang Xiucheng changed the subject and said that Luan Yuan showing up here probably also wants to go there. Although I look down on him, he is still a Dao master. If we really encounter him in the mountains, it will indeed be troublesome. A Dao master? Master Gu sneered disdainfully. If he dares to obstruct us, killing him will be the end of it. Green mountains stretched endlessly, with winding mountain ranges and winding paths. In between, there were some white, mist-like clouds, making this continuous mountain range seem like a fairyland. And on the winding mountain path, there were two figures. These two people were Chen Fan and Luan Yuan. They had rested at the hotel overnight and arrived here early in the morning. Master Chen, Yin Corpse pool is deep in these mountains, extremely hidden, Luan Yuan said as he walked beside Chen Fan, introducing the area. Chen Fan nodded, sensing everything around him. After entering here, Chen Fan clearly felt that the spiritual energy had become much richer. If he were to set up a gathering spiritual array here, the spiritual energy would gather so much that it might even surpass the Tianzi villa. However, Chen Fan wasn't interested in hiding and cultivating here. He wanted to cultivate while in the mortal world and comprehend the will of heaven and the Tao. Master Chen, the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect are protected by a maze. I'm going to prepare to break it so we can enter, Luan Yuan said. The ruins of the Yin Corpse sect were in these mountains, and this area had long become a scenic area. There were often tourists coming here, but apart from Luan Yuan and the Zhang family's people, no one had entered the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect, all because of this maze. Chen Fan was slightly surprised to hear this, then looked ahead and couldn't help but smile. There was indeed a mix of spiritual energy around, but to call it a formation was a bit exaggerated. Seeing that Chen Fan was indifferent, Luan Yuan continued, Master Chen, don't underestimate this maze. If you're not fully prepared and step into it, you may lose your way. Chen Fan still didn't care about Luan Yuan's words and continued forward. Luan Yuan immediately became anxious and said, Master Chen, don't go any further. But Chen Fan paid no attention and had already stepped into the maze. Then, a faint voice came, this is just some illusion, dispelled with a single finger. After that, Chen Fan extended his right index finger and made a slash in the air. It seemed that something invisible shattered under this slash. Following that, the flowers, plants, and trees around him began to sway continuously, and the surrounding mist gradually dissipated, revealing the true appearance of the mountain path ahead. Luan Yuan was shocked, his mouth gaping wide open in disbelief. He didn't know how much effort he had spent to break this maze in the past. Even now, when he wanted to enter the mountains, he still needed to be fully prepared. But this maze was easily broken by Chen Fan with a single slash in the air. You should know that this was set up by the ancestors of the Yin Corpse sect. Master Chen, wait for me. However, by the time he reacted, he found that Chen Fan had already gone far ahead. He quickly shouted and then chased after him. On the other side of the mountain, Lu Ziyin and her group were wearing troubled expressions. What should we do, Master Gu? Lu Ziyin asked. It's indeed a maze left by the ancestors of the Yin Corpse sect. Even I can't easily break it, Master Gu frowned and said in a deep voice. Upon hearing this, Lu Ziyin looked at Zhang Xiucheng and asked, can't your Zhang family do anything? Miss, this maze is difficult to break. It takes at least 6 hours each time to enter, and this time we came in a hurry. I didn't even have time to inform the clan and prepare the necessary supplies, Zhang Xiucheng said embarrassingly. Originally, it was the best time for him to fawn over her, but now he had failed. Lu Ziyin really wanted to curse Zhang Xiucheng as useless, unable to even fawn over her properly. Never mind. Master Gu suddenly spoke up. Master Gu, do you have a way? Lu Ziyin's eyes lit up. Master Gu smiled without saying a word. He took out an exquisitely crafted box from his bosom and opened it, revealing a beautiful jade bead inside. Taking out the jade bead, Master Gu infused it with his mana. The next moment, Lu Ziyin and the others immediately felt the air around them rapidly flowing, and then a strong wind swept up, dissipating the surrounding white mist, revealing the true appearance of the mountain path. Chapter 109, Mutual Utilization. What's this, Master Gu? Lu Ziyin showed a surprised expression. It's a secret treasure of our sect, the Wind Pearl, Master Gu replied. Can Master Gu buy it? Lu Ziyin couldn't help but ask. Buy? Master Gu immediately smiled disdainfully. This is a magical tool. Unless absolutely necessary, no one would sell magical tools. They are all life-saving items. Lu Ziyin immediately understood. These were life-saving items, and few people would sell them even if they had a price. We, the Zhang family, also have similar items. If Miss Lu likes it, please inquire with the elders of the clan when we return, Zhang Xiucheng spoke up at this moment. That I have to thank young Master Zhang, Lu Ziyin replied with a smile. However, she felt extremely disdainful towards Zheng Xiuqing in her heart. Master Gu had already said that magical tools would not be easily sold. If Zheng Xiuqing went back to inquire, he would most likely be scolded by the elders of the clan for being wasteful. If she hadn't been unaware of where this place was, how could she have traveled with this idiot? Miss, let's set off quickly. We can't hold out for much longer, Master Gu said to Lu Ziyin. Lu Ziyin nodded, and the group set off again, heading deeper into the mountains. After a while, Master Gu suddenly stopped and said, "Wait." Lu Ziyin and the others stopped, looking at Master Gu with some confusion. What's wrong? Look ahead, Master Gu said to the others. They looked ahead and saw that the lingering white mist had dissipated, and the sunlight was shining down, illuminating the mountain path clearly. On the mountain path, there were two figures walking at a leisurely pace. Someone has arrived before us? Lu Ziyin showed surprise when she saw the distant figures. These figures look familiar, like Luan Yuan and his disciple, Zheng Xiuqing said as he looked at the two figures. Lu Ziyin and Master Gu frowned when they heard this. Indeed, the two figures looked very much like Luan Yuan and his disciple. What should we do, Master Gu? Lu Ziyin asked Master Gu. Master Gu frowned, pondered for a moment, and then whispered a few words to Lu Ziyin. Lu Ziyin smiled and then led the others to quicken their pace to catch up with Chen Fan and Luan Yuan. Chen Fan and Luan Yuan had already noticed these people, but Chen Fan couldn't be bothered with them and continued walking forward by himself. However, he didn't expect these people to catch up. Lu Master. After catching up, Lu Ziyin politely called out to Luan Yuan. I dare not, Luan Yuan replied coldly. Lu Master, at the auction, I did indeed act a bit too rashly, but I had no choice. That was my father's life-saving medicine, so I had to buy it. Please forgive me, Lu Ziyin said in a friendly tone, ignoring Luan Yuan's attitude. Luan Yuan frowned and asked, Do you know what medicine you bought? Of course, that's why I'm sincerely asking for your forgiveness, Master Lu, Lu Ziyin replied with a smile. Upon hearing this, Luan Yuan glanced at Chen Fan out of the corner of his eye, wanting to see what Chen Fan meant. But Chen Fan had no reaction at all, obviously indicating that he would handle everything. I am also a broad-minded person and will not hold it against you, Luan Yuan said. Lu Ziyin smiled upon hearing this, but she sneered inwardly, not holding it against me? If it weren't for you and your disciple having some use, Master Gu would have taken action already. Lu Master, are you going to the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect? Zheng Xiuqing asked at this moment. Are you from the Zheng family not aware? Once you enter here, there is only one way forward, and there is nowhere else to go, Luan Yuan replied coldly. In fact, this is my first time here. I have only stayed on the periphery before, Zheng Xiuqing said. What do you want from us? Luan Yuan didn't want to waste time and asked directly. We are here for the first time and would like to ask Master Lu if he can guide us. After the matter is completed, this medicinal herb will be given to Master Lu, Lu Ziyin said to Luan Yuan with a smile. As she spoke, she took out a box and opened it, revealing the withered branch inside. Luan Yuan understood what the other party meant. They wanted him to be their cannon fodder. He was about to speak up when a voice suddenly came, Then I thank Miss Lu. Luan Yuan heard this and immediately looked at Chen Fan. He saw Chen Fan reach out and take the box, then accepted it directly. Lu Ziyin still maintained a smile on her face, but she thought to herself with disdain, taking orders but not using them. They had planned this already. Once the matter was over, Master Gu would take action and kill these two. For now, they were just temporarily storing them, which was not a big deal. Moreover, because of this matter, Lu Ziyin and her group completely regarded Chen Fan as Luan Yuan's servant, a servant who fetched things. Seeing this, Luan Yuan naturally didn't dare to say much more. He simply said, Let's go, and the two sides, each with their own thoughts, went together to the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect. After about 2 hours, they finally arrived at the ruins of the Yin Corpse sect. Ugh! However, after arriving here, Lu Ziyin immediately moved aside and vomited. Even Zhang Xiuqing felt uncomfortable and vomited on the side. This place was already dilapidated, with decaying corpses everywhere, as well as many firearms and ammunition. These corpses were obviously not ordinary, but more like soldiers. Moreover, these soldiers had been dead for a long time, and even their bones had weathered and become frail. Don't the Zhang family know that the disciples of the Yin Corpse sect once fought against the invading foreign forces in Xia country, and fought against their army? In the end, the joint forces sent a 3,000-strong army, many of whom were Esper users, and slaughtered the Yin Corpse sect, plundering everything they had, Luan Yuan said to the others. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately understood that these corpses were the corpses of the joint forces. These people deserve to die. Zhang Xiucheng spoke up and stomped on a few skeletons viciously. He knew that Luan Yuan was mocking him. But in the face of the evildoers who had once invaded Xia country, he knew what to do. What are you looking for? Luan Yuan didn't want to waste any more time and asked. We want to go to the Yin Corpse pool, Lu Ziyin said with a smile. Luan Yuan's expression changed when he heard this. He didn't expect that they also wanted to go to the Yin Corpse pool. However, this was just right. Since the other party wanted them to be cannon fodder, they could do the same. Although Chen Fan was by his side, he had encountered that monster before. It was too terrifying, so having a few more cannon fodders wouldn't hurt. Fine, Luan Yuan replied immediately. Chapter 110, The Strength of Master Gu. In a valley behind the Yin Corpse sect's main mountain, the valley was steep on three sides, with only a narrow opening of several tens of meters wide. As Luan Yuan had been here before, he was quite familiar with the place, and soon led everyone to the Yin Corpse pool. The Yin Corpse pool was a large pool with a diameter of several tens of meters. The water inside was dark and murky, making it impossible to see what was underneath. There were no ripples on the surface of the water, and the surroundings were almost barren, devoid of any signs of life. It was truly a pool of dead water. Here is the Yin Corpse pool. Whatever you want, find it yourselves, Luan Yuan pointed to the Yin Corpse pool in the distance. Lu Ziyin looked at Luan Yuan, obviously expecting him to go closer first. The Yin Corpse pool was too filled with deathly qi, making her uncomfortable, so she didn't dare to approach easily. Don't look at me, I don't know what's here either, let alone what you're looking for. So, go and find it yourselves, Luan Yuan said. Hey, Lu, when you're told to go, you go. Don't you understand? Zhang Xiucheng yelled at Luan Yuan. Aren't you fond of being polite? Young Master Zhang, this is the perfect opportunity, Luan Yuan said with a smile. You. Zhang Xiucheng was left speechless. Zhang Xiucheng, and you, go over there and take a look, Lu Ziyin said to Zhang Xiucheng and the other bodyguards who had followed. These bodyguards were all martial artists at the postnatal stage. Would so many people still encounter accidents when approaching a water pool? Although Zhang Xiucheng was still a little afraid, he still gritted his teeth and said, I'm willing to do things for Miss Lu. Then, Zhang Xiucheng led the 7 bodyguards who had followed him to approach the Yin Corpse pool. After approaching, Zhang Xiucheng and the bodyguards looked around but found nothing. Miss Lu, there's nothing here. Why don't you come and take a look? I don't know what you're looking for either, Zhang Xiucheng shouted loudly to Lu Ziyin. Lu Ziyin looked at Master Gu, who nodded, indicating that she could go. You all come over here too, Lu Ziyin said to Luan Yuan and Chen Fan. Luan Yuan glanced at Chen Fan, who had already walked over. The salamander grass was growing underwater, and they naturally had to get closer to search for it. Soon, the group arrived at the edge of the pool and began searching. Chen Fan stood on the shore, looking at the deep pool with a pensive expression. What's strange is that it hasn't come out yet. And where did the medicine I saw last time go? Luan Yuan was a little puzzled. Last time, as soon as he approached the Yin Corpse pool, a monster had rushed out of the water. But now, with so many people on the shore making so much noise, the monster didn't appear. Was it targeting him? What a ghostly place, there's nothing here. Lu Ziyin complained as she searched around the edge of the pool, failing to find the so-called divine medicine. Luan Yuan, did you bring us to the wrong place? No, this is the place, but the divine medicine is probably at the bottom of the water. Master Gu spoke up. Lu Ziyin heard Master Gu's words and immediately looked at Luan Yuan, arrogantly ordering him, Luan Yuan, go down and find it. Stinking brat. If you want to go down, go by yourself. Do you think I don't know that you just want us to be cannon fodder? Dream on, Luan Yuan suddenly became furious and stopped pretending they had come all this way, so why pretend? It was time to fight for treasures. Luan Yuan, just go down obediently, Master Gu said in a low voice, looking at Luan Yuan and Chen Fan coldly. And at that moment, a green light flashed around his body, and then converged to form a faint green light sword, floating beside him, emitting an extremely sharp aura. This is the earthly Dao sword art, showing a bit of a cultivation demeanor, Chen Fan said, surprised to see Master Gu's display of the Daoist arts. A Taoist master, you're also a Taoist master. Luan Yuan's face changed drastically as he realized that the taciturn Master Gu was actually a Taoist master, and his strength seemed much stronger than his. I am Gu Santong, an elder of the South Sea Hidden Sword sect, Master Gu said proudly. What? You're from the South Sea Hidden Sword sect? Luan Yuan's face changed drastically. The Hidden Sword sect was a major sword sect in Xia country 100 years ago. However, when Xia country was weak and invaded by powerful forces, many sects were destroyed, such as the Yin Corpse sect, while others fled overseas, such as the Hidden Sword sect to the South Sea. The Hidden Sword sect's development in the South Sea even surpassed that in Xia country. It was currently rated as an A-level power, and the current sect master was a famous figure on the heaven ranking. Luan Yuan didn't expect that the Lu family on Huandao Island could invite an elder from the Hidden Sword sect, which was why they dared to take out the withered branch, just to store it temporarily. However, Luan Yuan wasn't panicked. He had Chen Fan by his side. Now, go down for me. Lu Ziyin raised her chin, looking extremely proud and arrogant. Otherwise, Master Gu won't spare you too. With Master Gu backing her, she could be so arrogant. However, her pride didn't last long. Suddenly, in front of her eyes, a black shadow shot out of the pool like lightning. Splash! With the emergence of the black shadow, a loud splash echoed, causing Lu Ziyin's expression to change drastically. Then, she instinctively turned around to look in the direction of the sound. Not only her, but everyone else also looked in the direction of the sound. With just one glance, they all showed expressions of horror. They saw a giant snake shooting out of the water, with half of its body exposed on the surface, nearly 10 meters long. Ah! Lu Ziyin wanted to call out to Master Gu, but in the face of this huge creature, she couldn't utter a word, only emitting a scream. After the giant snake appeared, it opened its huge mouth and pounced towards Lu Ziyin. Lu Ziyin was already scared out of her wits, unable to move her body, letting the giant snake approach her. She thought she would die in the next moment. You damned creature! However, Gu Santong reacted quickly. He pointed with his 2 fingers, a green light shot out like lightning and stabbed into the 7 inches of the giant snake. Immediately, blood spurted out, and the giant snake twisted and writhed in pain, emitting a series of screams. The bodyguards also recovered at this moment and ran over to pull Lu Ziyin aside. Feeling like she had escaped death, Lu Ziyin's admiration for Master Gu grew even more. Damned creature, since you've come out today, I'll kill you. Gu Santong's eyes were like swords, staring at the giant snake, his aura overwhelming as he shouted angrily. Chapter 111, The Spectre. Upon being rescued, Lu Ziyuan gasped for air, her countenance still gripped by fear. What? What is this? Miss, step back. This place gathers the chilling aura of the Yin Corpse sect, nurturing the guardianship of exotic beasts. This serpent is likely one of those beasts. However, there is no need to worry. Today, let me handle this beast. Gu Santong spoke with utmost composure. As a master of Taoism for decades, Gu Santong had naturally witnessed much and possessed profound knowledge and cunning. Confronted with the sudden appearance of the exotic beast, he remained utterly composed. In fact, the moment it appeared, he had already assessed that he could defeat it. The serpent, now recovered, swayed its massive body and lunged at Gu Santong. Unfazed, Gu Santong swiftly mobilized his magical power once more. This time, not just one sword, but 3. As the serpent's gaping maw came at him, Gu Santong's body moved with remarkable agility, effortlessly dodging the attack. However, one of the bodyguards failed to evade and was instantly torn in half at the waist by the serpent's jaws. Lu Ziyuan and her companions were horrified by the scene. Such a spectacle was beyond anything the young lady had ever witnessed. Merely remaining conscious was an achievement. The serpent's first strike thwarted, it writhed its body and charged at Gu Santong again. But Gu Santong was ready, his momentum unstoppable. 3 emerald swords flew like lightning from his hands. Thrust, thrust, thrust. 3 sounds rang out instantly, followed by the serpent's lament. 2 of the emerald sword beams pierced the serpent's eyes, while the third plunged deep into its flesh. The serpent wailed incessantly, its massive body writhing in its final struggles. Foul creature, perish! At that moment, Gu Santong's voice rang coldly as he produced a long sword seemingly out of nowhere. With sword in hand, he dashed towards the serpent. Leaping into the air, a sword beam flashed, and the serpent's head was severed. Its body fell into the abyssal pool, creating massive waves that stained the waters crimson with spilled blood. As mist began to rise from the pool, the bystanders, including Lu Ziyuan's group, gazed at Gu Santong in awe. With sword on his back, standing by the water's edge, he resembled a sword immortal. Truly worthy of Master Gu. Master Gu is formidable. Zhang Xiucheng and Lu Ziyuan praised Gu Santong as they approached him. Enjoying their praise, Gu Santong turned to Luan Yuan and spoke coldly, "You two may leave now." However, Luan Yuan seemed not to hear him. Instead, he shook his head repeatedly and said, "This doesn't seem right. That monster 3 years ago was far from simple." Luan Yuan had a deep impression of the monster encountered 3 years ago. It was definitely not this weak. Although he admitted he was not a match for the serpent just now, he felt it couldn't have inflicted such heavy injuries on him. Moreover, the serpent seemed smaller and lacked the terrifying aura he had encountered before. "Why are you still standing there? Must Master Gu intervene?" Zhang Xiucheng's voice was stern, seeing Luan Yuan and Chen Fan not moving. "Ah!" But before Zhang Xiucheng's words could fade, a piercing scream suddenly erupted behind him without warning. "What's happening?" Gu Santong reacted the fastest, immediately turning to look in the direction of the sound. However, in that instant of looking, he felt something was amiss. Unbeknownst to anyone, mist had begun to pervade the surroundings, thickening rapidly without anyone's awareness. And as he looked towards the source of the sound, his pupils dilated, his face filled with horror. It wasn't just him, everyone who looked in the direction of the sound was equally horrified. There stood a headless corpse, which then collapsed with a thud. "Quick, protect Miss Lu." Gu Santong was an experienced individual, reacting swiftly and commanding forcefully. Immediately, the bodyguards gathered around, forming a protective circle around Lu Ziyuan. As for Chen Fan and Luan Yuan, they were utterly disregarded, left to stand at a distance. Gu Santong once again produced his wind bead, channeling his energy to create wind in an attempt to disperse the thickening mist. However, no matter how strong the wind from the bead, the mist seemed impossibly heavy, refusing to dissipate. "What's going on?" Gu Santong's scalp tingled, his face filled with dread. "Ah!" Just as he felt the horror, a terrified voice rang out, and a bodyguard was suddenly seized by a massive black hand, dragged into the dense fog before everyone's eyes. Following the screams were sounds of tearing and chewing, as if the guard was being devoured alive. At this moment, everyone's faces turned pale, sweat beading on their foreheads, as a monstrous figure emerged from the undispersed fog. "Monster! The monster is coming out! It must be the monster!" Trembling, Zhang Xiucheng recalled the warnings of his elders. The Yin Corpse sect's ruins harbored monsters, neither human nor ghost, that devoured people. "Ah!" Suddenly, Zhang Xiucheng, surrounded by the milky fog, was ensnared by a chain of light, then a shadow swooped down. "Got you!" Gu Santong's voice was cold as ice. He stepped forward abruptly, his long sword slashing, a pale green sword aura tearing through space, aimed at the shadow. Crack! A sound of rupture echoed, and Gu Santong's sword shattered at that moment. His body felt as if struck by a heavy blow, repeatedly retreating until blocked by the guards behind him, finally stabilizing his posture. "Ah!" At that moment, Zhang Xiucheng's scream rang out. The next moment, he disappeared from everyone's sight. Clang, clang. Following that, a series of sounds resembling water flowed, yet also reminiscent of the clatter of iron chains. Hearing this sound, everyone turned to look in its direction. Strangely, the white mist seemed to have dissipated somewhat, revealing the Yin Corpse pool. Standing by the pool's edge was a figure with a greenish face and protruding teeth, eyes glowing red. It held Zhang Xiucheng in its grasp. Immediately afterward, it reached out, tearing off one of Zhang Xiucheng's hands and devouring it. As for Zhang Xiucheng, he had already lost consciousness of life and death. What? What is this? Ghost. A ghost? People trembled at the sight of this figure, their voices quivering. Master! Master, what is this? Please, you must act quickly, Lu Ziyuan almost pleaded to Gu Santong. This could be the suppressed spectre of the Yin Corpse sect. Gu Santong's face was drenched in cold sweat, his expression one of terror. Chapter 112, Terrifying Spectre. In the distance stood a figure, with a green face and protruding teeth, towering at nearly 2 meters tall, clad in tattered garments. It stood within the Yin Corpse pool, causing ripples to form in the water, while the dense white mist gradually dissipated. A spectre! This is the spectre of the Yin Corpse gate, exclaimed Luan Yuan after he saw the true visage of the creature, his complexion turning deathly pale. A spectre? What kind of spectre? Lu Ziyan's face mirrored the terror, her delicate frame trembling incessantly. Seeing its true form was akin to encountering a ghost, utterly horrifying. This creature, tainted in both flesh and spirit, relishes consuming flesh and blood. 600 years ago, a spectre emerged in this area of Huaishi, wreaking havoc far and wide. A Taoist stumbled upon this place during his travels, and utilizing his supreme Taoist arts, managed to suppress the spectre to thoroughly subdue it. The Taoist founded the Yin Corpse gate, spoke Gusan Tong, his voice trembling. Upon hearing this, the others felt their scalps tingle. The spectre before them likely was the very one subdued by the Yin Corpse gate. That snake just now was actually the guardian beast suppressing the spectre. Yet, isolate it, allowing the spectre to fully escape. Gusan Tong's voice quivered with regret. Upon Gusan Tong's words, Luan Yuan's pupils contracted, realizing the situation. The Yin Corpse pool served as the spectre's prison, and the snake was its guardian. With the destruction of the Yin Corpse gate, the spectre gradually broke free from its restraint, engaging in a relentless struggle with the guardian snake for 3 years until it weakened and perished by Gusan Tong's hands today. From then on, the spectre was unfettered, breaking free from its prison woo. At this moment, the spectre emitted a deep, chilling howl. Its blood-red eyes gleamed like warning beacons, flashing incessantly. Next moment, the spectre tossed aside Zheng Xiucheng and transformed into a shadow, charging towards Gusan Tong. Master Gu, be cautious, cried out Lu Ziyan. Gusan Tong was their sole reliance now. If anything happened to him, everyone would perish. Come forth. Gusan Tong's voice rang coldly. A faint green light emanated from around him, coalescing into numerous green sword lights, shooting towards the spectre like lightning bolts. Pattering sounds. The sounds of impacts echoed as the sword lights burst upon the spectre, but to no avail. Gusan Tong, witnessing this scene, revealed a look of horror. His full-force attacks were futile against the spectre's defenses. Ah! A piercing scream reverberated as a bodyguard, who stood in the way, was instantly torn in half by the spectre, blood gushing forth as the blood spilled. It seemed to be drawn towards the spectre by some unseen force. Thunder Prison. Luan Yuan took action. Knowing that the spectre fed on flesh and blood, allowing it to absorb more would only make it more formidable. Boom boom boom. Thunderous sounds echoed as Luan Yuan unleashed 36 bolts of lightning. Interweaving into a massive thunder prison, it ensnared the spectre, trapping it within. Luan Yuan, you're somewhat useful. Lu Ziyan exclaimed upon witnessing this. As she spoke, she began to flee under the protection of the bodyguards. However, just as Luan Yuan's smirk emerged, he vanished in an instant. The spectre extended its claw-like hands, pressing down on the thunder prison. In that moment, a smirk appeared on its horrifying face. Boom! The thunder prison ruptured, dissipating into nothingness. Luan Yuan paled in shock. Instinctively retreating thunder magic was supposed to be effective against such malevolent creatures, yet this spectre seemed impervious to it. Roar! The spectre emitted a long howl, its figure darting towards a fleeing bodyguard. These bodyguards, all advanced martial practitioners, were its targets, their vigorous blood vital for its recovery. Another scream echoed as the bodyguard was torn apart, his blood merging into the spectre's form. Abomination! Gusan Tong's eyes blazed crimson as he let out a low growl, once again channeling his full power. His fingers morphed into sword points, surrounding him with a verdant glow that coalesced into a colossal green sword. Swish! Without hesitation, the giant sword flew towards the spectre. However, the spectre raised its right hand, grabbing at the sword. Boom! A thunderous explosion resonated as the sword, formed from Gusan Tong's power, shattered, the shockwave even cracking the ground. Yet, the spectre remained unscathed. With a grin, it charged towards Gusan Tong, delivering a punch. Gusan Tong mobilized his remaining power to form a defense. Bang! The spectre's punch struck Gusan Tong's defense, shattering it instantly. Gusan Tong was sent flying dozens of meters, crashing to the ground and coughing up blood. In the next moment, the spectre turned its gaze towards Luan Yuan, revealing a sinister smile. Luan Yuan felt a chill down his spine, but he mustered the last of his strength to unleash a spell. With a casual wave, the spectre dispelled the lightning and advanced step by step towards Luan Yuan, emitting eerie sounds as if toying with its prey. Chapter 113. Do you have any objections? With a trembling demeanor, Luan Yuan kept retreating until he reached Chen Fan's side. Miss Lu, please, make haste and leave. At this moment, Gu Santong struggled to rise, seizing the opportunity to flee with Luzian. However, Luzian, already paralyzed with fear, stood frozen in place, unable to move. Master Qin, please, leave quickly. I never imagined such a creature would be here. I have brought you trouble. Luan Yuan trembled as he spoke, retreating to Chen Fan's side, who had remained motionless all this while. This ghoul is too horrifying. It seems only the ancestors of the Yin Corpse gate could subdue it upon reincarnation. Leave? Chen Fan chuckled softly. Without retrieving anything? Simply departing? Wouldn't that be a wasted trip? With these words, Chen Fan took a step forward, heading towards the ghoul. Is this lad struck dumb? Gu Santong exclaimed incredulously at Chen Fan's counterintuitive move. The power of this ghoul is such that only the current Grandmaster of the Hidden Sword Gate could possibly subdue it. Sensing the change, the ghoul turned its gaze towards Chen Fan, emitting a sinister chuckle and a look of mockery. Chen Fan paid it no mind, continuing to approach the ghoul step by step. Suddenly, the ghoul bared its terrifying fangs and, in a swift motion, transformed into a dark shadow, charging at Chen Fan. Master Qin, be careful! Luan Yuan shouted upon seeing the ghoul approaching, his voice tinged with alarm. However, Chen Fan simply extended his hand calmly. In that instant, a surge of energy emanated, enveloping him and giving rise to a unique phenomenon. The moment the ghoul entered this area, it immediately ceased its movements, floating motionless in mid-air. Not out of choice, but completely restrained within. Gu Santong, who had intended to flee, stood there dumbfounded, staring at Chen Fan in astonishment. Not only him, but Luan Yuan and Luzian were also stunned. Luan Yuan knew of Chen Fan's prowess, but this method, immobilizing the opponent in mid-air, reminded him of the petrifying spells in those fantasy novels. But those were just fiction, the feats of immortals. Even a Grandmaster of Taoism couldn't achieve it, especially against such a formidable ghoul. Could Chen Fan truly be an immortal? Luzian's mind was in turmoil. Who is he, and why is he so powerful? Indeed, all along, her impression of Chen Fan was that of someone who merely caught her falling branches, without a second glance at anything else. She didn't even know his name. Yet now, this man seemed exceptionally formidable. The undead formed by absorbing the evil spirits of heaven and earth, even if they gain sentience, are nothing but this, Chen Fan remarked calmly, looking at the ghoul. The ghoul's face no longer bore the mockery and triumph from before, replaced by sheer terror. At this moment of its horror, Chen Fan slowly clenched his hand, causing the energy to compress and approach it. As the energy neared, the ghoul's expression turned increasingly fearful. It felt as though the heavens were collapsing and the earth crumbling around it. Upon contact with the energy, its body began to disintegrate and dissipate. This energy was Chen Fan's protective aura. Having condensed half of it, this horrifying protective aura not only suppressed one's path but could also control a portion of it. Previously, the protective aura acted unconsciously, automatically surrounding Chen Fan and destroying anything that approached. Chen Fan's only option was to restrain his power and forcibly suppress it. But now it was different. After condensing half of the aura, he could freely control the portion subjected to condensation, without the need for suppression. Moreover, the power of the condensed aura had increased rather than diminished. Now, Chen Fan estimated that even a cultivator at the early stage of the core formation realm would struggle to withstand it. As for this ghoul, it would be reduced to ashes upon contact, even if it barely reached the perfect stage of foundation establishment. As the aura contracted, the ghoul's body rapidly disintegrated, then vanished without a trace, dispersed into nothingness. Gu Santong watched the disappearing ghoul, his expression aghast. This ghoul, overwhelmingly powerful, could only be subdued by the ancestors of the Yin Corpse gate, yet Chen Fan effortlessly crushed it. This was far more shocking than using some legendary sword technique or powerful move. Using a powerful move implies a comparison of strength. But Chen Fan just casually crushed the ghoul. This was sheer dominance. Could Chen Fan's strength truly be within the realm of mortals? Is this person human? Gu Santong struggled for a while before finally uttering these words. Human, of course he's human, he's an immortal. Luan Yuan affirmed decisively. Gu Santong laughed upon hearing this. Indeed, how could this young man before them not be human, but rather an immortal? Incredible, Master Qin, truly admirable, Luan Yuan said, completely convinced. This. Luzian was still somewhat dazed. Arriving at the Yin Corpse pool, she felt like she had experienced both heaven and hell in quick succession. Her mind was filled with various emotions: surprise, disdain, confusion, despair, shock, and yet, surprise again. These emotions converged in her mind, leaving her staring dumbfoundedly at the young man who had suddenly emerged and effortlessly annihilated the ghoul. Suddenly, these emotions erupted within her, and she loudly questioned Chen Fan, her anger reaching its peak. Why didn't you reveal your capabilities earlier? Why didn't you act sooner? Why did you let me fall into danger? Luzian strode angrily towards Chen Fan, her eyebrows furrowed, pointing at him as she spoke sharply. Do you know that if you had acted earlier, Zhang Xiuqing wouldn't have died, and the other bodyguards wouldn't have died either? Their deaths are all your responsibility. Her current anger made her forget her previous fear of the ghoul. Silence. Qin Master saved your life, and yet you dare to speak to him in such a manner. Luan Yuan reprimanded Luzian sternly. Upon hearing Luzian's words, Gusan Tong's expression changed. Didn't Luzian realize what kind of person Chen Fan was? He hurriedly spoke, Miss Lu, it's already our great fortune that Master Qin was able to lend a hand. There's no need to demand so much. It's like a group of people starving, and a kind-hearted person gives them food, saving them. But one of the saved blames this person for not acting earlier, leading to someone starving to death. Chen Fan remained calm. After 200 years of cultivation, he had seen too many people like this. Ultimately, it boils down to fear of power and lack of gratitude. What does it matter to me whether you live or die? Do I even know you? Chen Fan looked at Luzian calmly as he spoke. Luzian was stunned by these words, never expecting Chen Fan to be so blunt, showing her no respect whatsoever. She took a deep breath, suppressing her anger, and regained some composure as she spoke. I won't mention the matter of you saving lives, but you did accept my withered branch earlier, didn't you? The withered branch was merely a fare for bringing you here. Moreover, just because I didn't speak doesn't mean I don't understand your thoughts, Chen Fan said coldly. Gusan Tong and Luzian felt a chill run down their spines upon hearing this. Very well, let's not discuss this further. This master here, now that the ghoul is dead, should we be allowed to enter the pool and search for the divine medicine? Luzian tried to speak as calmly as possible. Do you have the qualifications? Chen Fan retorted. Why wouldn't I? The items inside belong to no one, so I can go down now, Luzian replied through clenched teeth. In that case, I declare that everything here belongs to me. Do you have any objections? Chen Fan asked calmly. Chapter 114, Business Proposition. From this moment forth, this place is under my possession. Do you have any objections? Chen Fan gazed at Lu Ziyu indifferently as he spoke lightly. Upon hearing this, Lu Ziyu gritted her teeth and glared at Chen Fan, her heart seething with anger. Being the daughter of Lu Fashuan, Lu Ziyu had always been favored, having never suffered any grievances since childhood. Moreover, possessing unparalleled beauty, she graduated from the world's top university and entered the entertainment industry after graduation, accumulating a vast amount of resources. She even single-handedly established her own brand. She was the pride of heaven wherever she went, and any man who saw her would strive to win her favor. For Chen Fan, a man who completely disregarded her, it was truly the first time she had encountered such insolence. Mr. Chen, who do you think you are? Saying that this place belongs to you and asking me if I have any objections? Of course, I have objections. Do you think you can act recklessly just because you have some means? This world is governed by laws. What right do you have to arrogantly claim ownership? Even the people of the Qin family and Xiagua wouldn't dare say such things. I have significant objections to you. At this moment, Lu Ziyu almost exploded like a powder keg, shouting at Chen Fan. Her words immediately caused Luan Yuan's expression to change drastically. And Gu Santong revealed a look of fear. The young man in front of them had casually killed the corpse demon master, not some unknown minor character. Miss Lu, speaking to someone like him in such a manner is tantamount to seeking death. Not only are you seeking death, but you're also inviting trouble to the Lu family. If the corpse demon master were to kill you now, the Lu family wouldn't dare to make a sound. Moreover, this is the wilderness. If Chen Fan is truly provoked, anyone associated with you will perish. Chen Fan looked at the hysterical Lu Ziyu with cold indifference and uttered a single word, leave. Lu Ziyu couldn't believe her ears. Chen Fan actually told her to leave. She was about to retort, but at this moment, Gu Santong reacted swiftly, pulling Lu Ziyu behind him and addressing Chen Fan, Master Chen, we shall leave immediately. With that, Gu Santong covered Lu Ziyu's mouth, completely ignoring her resistance and struggles, and forcibly took her away. Chen Fan paid no further attention to Lu Ziyu but turned to Tianqin and said, "I may not understand your cultivation methods, but the body of that giant serpent is valuable. You can find a way to collect the remaining flesh and blood of the serpent and refine it, which should enhance your cultivation." Upon hearing this, Luan Yuan was immediately astonished, looking at the corpse of the giant snake with palpitations. Chen Fan definitely had no reason to deceive him. "Thank you for your guidance, Master Chen." Immediately, Luan Yuan bowed and thanked him. Chen Fan ignored Luan Yuan and entered Tianqin. His purpose was to find the extreme fishtail grass, but he unexpectedly encountered some events. Soon, Chen Fan jumped into the water and immediately felt the dense cold air flowing. If Xiang Shui were to cultivate here, she could reach the foundation establishment stage within 3 years. However, it would only be foundation establishment. Achieving the third tribulation of the celestial stage is definitely impossible. Chen Fan felt extremely satisfied with the dense spiritual energy here. For Xiang Shui's Tianqin spiritual body, this was the best place for cultivation, ensuring her successful foundation establishment. However, since Chen Fan had decided to help Xiang Shui, it was natural not to let her stop at foundation establishment alone. The stages of cultivation are divided into heaven, earth, and human stages, each with 3 tribulations. Achieving foundation establishment alone would be meaningless. Since he had intervened, Chen Fan was determined to help Xiang Shui achieve the celestial stage foundation establishment, at least reaching the second tribulation. Foundation establishment at the second tribulation was the core focus of cultivation in any sect. Soon, Chen Fan arrived at the bottom of the pool and saw an open coffin surrounded by yin crystals, forming a formation. It's not a suppression at all, but an attempt to subdue the corpse demon with the method of nurturing. It's just a pity that even if awakened with intelligence, these sinister creatures of the heavens and earth will never be subservient. Chen Fan spoke disdainfully after seeing this scene. Even if the corpse demon born from absorbing the power of heaven and earth had cultivated intelligence, it would only create more methods to devour flesh and blood rather than obeying anyone. Therefore, if Chen Fan hadn't arrived this time and let the corpse demon escape, it would undoubtedly have brought about a disaster. This time, Chen Fan unexpectedly saved the lives of countless beings. Yin crystals can be used to set up formations as the foundation, but I can't take them away. I can only instruct Luan Yuan to find a way to transport them out to Jiangqing City for me. Chen Fan looked at the large number of yin crystals and pondered for a moment, feeling somewhat helpless. Since his storage bag was lost during the pursuit, he lost the spatial storage magic treasure, or else he could have taken them away directly without paying attention to these yin crystals. Chen Fan quickly found the spiritual medicine at the bottom of the pool. It's not the extreme yin fishtail grass, but the Tianqin netherworld grass. Chen Fan looked at the spiritual medicine emitting a faint glow, resembling something from the underworld, and couldn't help shaking his head. Sure enough, Luan Yuan was an outsider. While the Tianqin netherworld grass and extreme yin fishtail grass looked somewhat similar in appearance, their effects were completely different. The Tianqin netherworld grass focused on the soul. After consumption, it could strengthen one's soul power, making it a spiritual medicine for soul cultivators and ghost cultivators. This isn't of much use to me. It can't be fused with the extreme yang stone to refine into a pill, but it can be refined into soul sculpting pill. Chen Fan pulled out the Tianqin netherworld grass. When a dying mortal consumed the soul sculpting pill, it could ensure that the soul remained intact for 49 days after death, giving the mortal a chance to return to life. Well, it's not a wasted trip. After pulling out the spiritual medicine, Chen Fan surfaced and exited the Tianqin, only to see Luan Yuan had already moved the corpse of the giant snake to the shore. At the moment, there's no way to transport it back. I need to go back and call for someone. After seeing Chen Fan appear, Luan Yuan spoke. In that case, return first. Then you can call for someone to figure out how to transport the yin crystals from the bottom of the pool to Jiangqing City for me. Chen Fan instructed Luan Yuan before departing. Naturally, Luan Yuan dared not refuse and assured Chen Fan that he would fulfill the task properly. Afterward, the two left the mountains and drove back to the ancient town they had visited before. Upon entering the ancient town, they went to the same hotel to rest for a while. Then, Luan Yuan arranged for someone to go into the mountains and retrieve what needed to be taken away. However, upon entering the hotel, Chen Fan saw Lu Ziyu, Gu Santong, and many of Lu Ziyu's entourage waiting for him. These people seemed to be waiting for him. However, Chen Fan ignored them and continued walking forward. Master Chen, please wait. At this moment, Lu Ziyu stood up and called out to Chen Fan. Ignoring her, Chen Fan continued forward. Seeing this, Lu Ziyu wanted to get angry, but recalling the repeated admonitions of Gu Santong on the way, she suppressed her anger and spoke calmly to Chen Fan. Master Chen, this time I absolutely won't quarrel with you. I want to do business with you. Chapter 115, 300 billion. Master Chen, I want to do business with you. Lu Ziyu blocked Chen Fan's path and spoke respectfully. Chen Fan stopped and looked at Lu Ziyu standing in front of him. This time, Lu Ziyu had changed into a different outfit, wearing a fitted black women's suit with straight-leg pants, paired with a pair of black high heels, accentuating her tall and graceful figure. She now resembled an elite white-collar worker, and even more so, a negotiator. Under the persuasion of Gu Santong, she had realized that provoking Chen Fan at Tianqin would only lead to trouble, not just for herself but also for the Lu family. So now, she had changed her arrogant attitude, appearing extremely humble. Business? What kind of business? Chen Fan asked, looking at Lu Ziyu. I want to buy the divine medicine you obtained from Tianqin, Master Chen. Lu Ziyu said to Chen Fan. Why do you insist on those spiritual medicines, including that piece of withered wood? Chen Fan asked curiously. Master Chen, you see, Mr. Lu's life is hanging by a thread right now, and he urgently needs life-prolonging spiritual medicines. If Mr. Lu were to pass away now, Miss Lu would be in extreme danger. Gu Santong explained the situation of Lu Ziyu and Lu Fachuan to Chen Fan in detail, especially Lu Ziyu's current predicament. So please, Master Chen, if you're willing to part with them, I can assure you that the price I offer will not be low. Gu Santong said earnestly after explaining. Chen Fan looked at Lu Ziyu, who was biting her red lips slightly, looking pitiful. With her beauty and background, such a gesture would soften the hearts of many men. These have nothing to do with me. Chen Fan responded. Lu Ziyu almost spat blood upon hearing this. Was this man really so heartless? However, she took a deep breath and controlled her temper, speaking calmly to Chen Fan. Master Chen, as long as you're willing to part with them, the price I offer will definitely not be low. Chen Fan shook his head in response. The so-called divine medicine you mentioned cannot save Mr. Lu Fachuan. Not only can it not save him, but if consumed now, it will lead to immediate death. Lu Ziyu and Gu Santong's expressions changed instantly, becoming filled with disbelief. The spiritual medicines beneath Tianqin are Tianqin netherworld grass, effective for the soul. Mortals cannot bear its potency. If consumed after death, it can preserve the soul for 49 days without dispersing. If you want to combine it with the life force of that withered wood, it would be even more wrong. The intertwining forces of the two medicines would only destroy each other. Chen Fan explained. Gu Santong appeared embarrassed. He never expected to encounter such a situation. He hurriedly said, Miss Lu, I truly didn't expect this. The records in the Sword sect only mentioned the Yin Corpse gate, but thinking about it now, it's impossible for a place containing corpse demons to have life-prolonging spiritual medicines. Lu Ziyu's face looked ugly, but she still forced out a smile and said, It's not your fault, Mr. Gu. That place is so mysterious, and those records are nearly 100 years old. It's normal for Mr. Gu to make mistakes. Please don't take it to heart. I will still need to rely on Mr. Gu in the future. Though she said this, her eyes were full of disappointment. Now, the only thing she could do was to go to Huahai City and see if there were any divine medicines available from the Fu family. If it's just prolonging life, it's not difficult. Just as Lu Ziyu felt disappointed, Chen Fan's faint voice sounded. Lu Ziyu and Gu Santong's eyes lit up and turned to look at Chen Fan. Master Chen, do you have a method? Lu Ziyu asked. Chen Fan took out the mini Peiyuan pill he had refined earlier and said, This pill, if Mr. Lu Fachuan has no cultivation base, will have the effect of prolonging life after consumption. The mini Peiyuan pill was a simplified version of the Peiyuan pill, which Chen Fan had refined while waiting for the auction to start. Its main purpose was to pass the time, or to bring back and sell at Tianqin Corporation later. This pill was a resource for qi refining stage cultivators, useful for those with qi refining or martial cultivation bases to advance their cultivation. But if a person had no cultivation base at all and took the mini Peiyuan pill, it would consolidate the foundation, strengthen the body, and have the effect of prolonging life. Really? Lu Ziyu looked incredulously at the pill in Chen Fan's hand. Chen Fan directly threw one to Gu Santong. You haven't recovered from the battle with the corpse demon earlier. Try taking it. Gu Santong took the pill and saw the pill patterns appearing on it, his eyes lighting up. He wasn't very knowledgeable about pills, but at first glance, it was definitely a good pill. Without any hesitation, he immediately took it. As the pill entered his stomach, he immediately felt the injuries and exhaustion from the battle with the corpse demon begin to improve. This is a miraculous pill. Although it's not a longevity pill, its effects, when taken by ordinary people, at least strengthen the body and prolong life. Gu Santong said confidently after taking the pill. Lu Ziyu looked at Chen Fan, her face full of disbelief. This is the mini Peiyuan pill. When taken by ordinary people, it indeed has the effect of prolonging life and strengthening the body. For someone like Mr. Lu Fachuan, each pill consumed can extend his life by a little over a month. Here are 29 pills, so extending his life by 3 years is not a problem. Chen Fan said lightly. Good, I'll buy them all. What's your price? Lu Ziyu immediately spoke up. The Lu family was extremely wealthy, and she didn't care about money. 10 billion. Chen Fan said. 10 billion? Lu Ziyu was surprised and delighted at the same time, then immediately said, 10 billion it is then, I'll buy them. If these pills could prolong Lu Fachuan's life, even 10 billion would be acceptable to Lu Ziyu as long as her father could live for another 3 years. With this matter of life extension, she could completely rely on her father to pave the way for her to obtain the core industries of the Lu family. By then, even if she had to spend 100 billion, she could earn it back. Luan Yuan and Gu Santong couldn't help but sigh inwardly when they heard Chen Fan's offer. Indeed, he was Master Chen, he could easily earn 10 billion with a casual offer. It would take them a lot of time and effort to earn 10 billion. You're mistaken. Chen Fan shook his head at this moment. Did I say something wrong? What do you mean? Lu Ziyu looked at Chen Fan, puzzled. In addition to the one Gu Santong just took, there are a total of 30 pills. So it is 300 billion. Chen Fan's words stunned everyone present. Lu Ziyu could no longer suppress the anger in her heart and jumped up, shouting loudly, 300 billion. Do you know how much 300 billion is? You might as well rob us if you're asking for 300 billion for a bottle of your broken medicine. 300 billion was nearly 1/10 of the assets of the Lu Group. Even if Lu Ziyu wanted to take it, she couldn't afford it. Rob? Chen Fan sneered at her words. If I were to rob the Lu family, it wouldn't be 300 billion, but everything. Chapter 116, Returning to Jiangcheng. Lu Ziyu was at a loss for words when she heard Chen Fan's words. Why was this person so unreasonable in his speech, even bordering on arrogance? Everything? The entire Lu family's assets amounted to over 3 trillion, did he think he could swallow all of it? Miss Lu, don't be impulsive, negotiate with Master Chen calmly, Gu Santong said. Gu Santong was also taken aback by Chen Fan's everything remark. With Chen Fan's demonstrated strength, if he really went to rob the Lu family, they might indeed have to surrender all their assets. Of course, there were also experts behind the Lu family, perhaps even a Tianban level expert. But could that Tianban expert really defeat Chen Fan? Not necessarily. So he advised Lu Ziyu to negotiate with Chen Fan properly. 300 billion is impossible for me to produce, Lu Ziyu said. 300 billion was a huge sum, and it would take several days to mobilize that amount of money. Whether to buy or not is up to you, Chen Fan said casually. You. Lu Ziyu gritted her teeth. It seemed there was no room for negotiation at all. Luan Yuan, standing by the side, couldn't help but admire Chen Fan. He was indeed too domineering in doing business. Finally, Lu Ziyu took a deep breath and said to Chen Fan, Master Chen, this is 300 billion in funds, not assets. Even if I could afford it, I couldn't produce it on the spot. I need to sell various assets to raise 300 billion, and the time required is unpredictable. So your demand for 300 billion is outrageous. Do you think what you want is worth only 300 billion? Chen Fan asked back. This. Lu Ziyu was speechless at Chen Fan's words. Was 300 billion an unreasonable amount for the position of the head of the Lu family? Not at all. Rest assured, I can give you time to raise the funds, and you can take these pills back first. Chen Fan said again. With that, he threw the bottle containing the mini Peiyuan pill to Lu Ziyu. Lu Ziyu took the bottle, looking incredulous. Why was he suddenly so accommodating? But she immediately put on a smile and said, since Master Qin is so generous, then I agree. 300 billion, I'll sell what I need to in Huandao City and gather the funds as soon as possible to deliver them to Master Qin. Chen Fan nodded, indicating that the transaction was completed, and Lu Ziyu left happily. Master Qin, letting her go like this, it's just a verbal agreement. She could completely go back on her word, Luan Yuan said, anxious as Lu Ziyu left. Go back on her word? Chen Fan smiled, whether she goes back on her word or not isn't up to her, it's up to me. Luan Yuan was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, Master Qin is right. Would Lu Ziyu dare to go back on her word? She dared. She really dared. However, once she went back on her word, she had to be prepared for the consequences. As Chen Fan said, if she dared to go back on her word, it wouldn't be 300 billion she owed, but everything. Going back on her word? Chen Fan had encountered such people in the cultivation world before. Those who dared to go back on their word didn't even know how high the grass on their graves was. After settling Lu Ziyu's matter, Chen Fan and Luan Yuan stayed in the ancient town for another 10 days. During this time, Luan Yuan naturally called people to go back to Tianqin and brought out all the flesh and blood of the giant snake and Yin crystals inside. Luan Yuan bid farewell to Chen Fan with the giant snake's body and returned to his own territory to prepare for cultivation, hoping to reach the mid-level of the Dao Master realm. As for Chen Fan, he returned to Jiangcheng with a cart full of Yin crystals. Along the way, there were no further incidents, and 5 days later, he appeared at Villano, one of the Crimson Fairy Garden in Jiangcheng. After entering the villa, Chen Fan took out the strange withered branch and looked at it. He had carefully studied this strange withered branch on the way back, but still didn't know what it was. I can only wait for it to grow and see. Chen Fan came to the garden of his villa. Once in the garden, Chen Fan immediately began to set up a formation using the Yin crystals he brought back. The quality of the Yin crystals was very high, surpassing many jade stones. With these Yin crystals as the foundation, the effect of the formation would naturally be better. Chen Fan worked quickly, using Yin crystals to set up a spiritual formation in the garden. To dilute some of the extreme Yin energy of the Yin crystals, he also placed some extreme Yang stones. Thus, a spiritual medicine garden was born. Alright, I'll plant you here and see what you really are. Chen Fan planted the strange withered branch into the spiritual medicine garden and said, Ding dong! Ding dong! At this moment, the doorbell rang. Chen Fan immediately scanned with his spiritual sense and found that there were many people outside the door: Zhang Qingning, Ning Rushuan, Zhang Tianxiong, and even Chao, who had come. He knew that the news of his return had been passed to these people by the property management or security over here. However, he didn't expect that so many people would come as soon as he returned. It seemed that something had happened during his absence. Chapter 117, The Wang Family in Huahai. Zhang Qingning and her group stood at the door, pressing the doorbell and waiting for Chen Fan to open the door. Suddenly, the villa's gate silently swung open. When they saw the gate open, they reflexively wanted to call out Master Qin, but they couldn't see anyone opening the door. Is this supernatural? Chao Hu stuttered. Zhang Qingning and the others were bewildered. Who opened the door? Could it be a ghost? Come in, a sudden voice echoed in their minds, startling everyone. They were sure it was Chen Fan's voice. But where was he? Chen Fan, is that you? Zhang Qingning called out. No need to doubt, I'm in the garden, Chen Fan's voice echoed again, confirming their suspicions. Master Qin, it's really you. Zhang Tianxiong couldn't help but speak up upon hearing this. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. They had seen many things, but this was truly unprecedented. Soon, the group entered the villa. Every time I come here, I feel especially comfortable. I don't know why, Zhang Qingning spoke on the way. Because I've set up a spiritual formation here to draw on the spiritual energy from heaven and earth. So when you're here, you naturally feel very comfortable. Living here long-term can strengthen your body and keep you healthy, free from illness, Chen Fan's voice echoed again, leaving everyone even more amazed. Sitting here can strengthen our bodies and keep us free from illness? Zhang Tianxiong couldn't help but marvel. As they arrived in the garden, they saw a thin layer of mist gathering around due to the spiritual formation, giving it an ethereal atmosphere. Chen Fan stood quietly in the mist, appearing almost divine. Please sit, Chen Fan said as they arrived, gesturing to the chairs in the garden. What's the matter? So many of you have come to find me, Chen Fan cut to the chase. The establishment of Tianqin Company. We're going to hold a banquet, so many big shots in Jang Nan are guessing that you're the boss behind Tianqin Company. They want to meet you on this occasion. Jiang Qingning, as the first person in charge of Tianqin Company, spoke first. After knocking down Zhou Dajiang with a single punch and then suppressing the Huahaifu family, Chen Fan was revered by the big shots in Jang Nan. I'll come take a look at the banquet then, Chen Fan replied to Jiang Qingning. Jiang Qingning smiled and nodded in response. There must be more than just this, Chen Fan continued. Master Qin, the Wang family has begun to enter Jiangcheng. Not only Jiangcheng, but they've also started to gather forces in various places in Jiangnan, Zhang Tianxiong said. The Wang family is entering Jiangnan? Chen Fan was surprised. Even after Zhou Dajiang's death, they're still coming? We initially thought that after Zhou Dajiang's death, the Wang family would surely restrain themselves, but unexpectedly, they didn't care about Zhou Dajiang's death at all and continued to push forward with their plans to unify Jiangnan. So during the days when Master Qin was away, many industries in Jiangcheng fell into the hands of the Wang family, Zhang Tianxiong explained. Not only that, but the underground forces of the Huahai by Long Gang have also started to enter Jiangcheng, cooperating with the Wang family, Ning Rushuan added. Ning Rushuan's Qianhuan Hall was maintaining the balance between the underground and surface forces in Jiangcheng with the Zhang family. But now, with the Wang family mobilizing both surface and underground forces, they were definitely aiming to take over Jiangcheng. So, it seems that the Huatian sect is ready to enter Xia country, so the Wang family is starting to act, Chen Fan concluded. Zhang Tianxiong nodded and continued, news from overseas states that after learning of Zhou Dajiang's death, the Huatian sect chose to seclude themselves, but many of their disciples have vowed to seek revenge on you. Therefore, news from the Fu family reveals that the Wang family has already helped many of the Huatian sect's disciples enter Xia country. These are just the vanguard troops, and the main force will come later. After Zhang Tianxiong finished speaking, his expression became grave, and he continued, in fact, the Huatian sect is not the Wang family's biggest reliance. Not the biggest reliance? What else does the Wang family have? Tell me more about the Wang family, Chen Fan asked. Chen Fan's memories were obtained through soul-searching, and he didn't have a favorable impression of the Wang family. Since they entered Jiangcheng at the beginning of the establishment of Tianqin Company, conflicts were inevitable. Therefore, Chen Fan thought it was better to understand the Wang family a bit more. Huatian City in Huahai is a separate city from Xia country's Jiangnan. Its overall strength far exceeds that of any city in Jiangnan. The Wang family's ability to become the #1 powerhouse in Huatian City indicates their immense strength, which may not be shaken even if all the major forces in Jiangnan unite. Moreover, I received news from the Fu family that the Wang family's power has already become firm in Huatian City, so they have freed up their hands to prepare to consolidate all the forces in Jiangnan, Zhang Tianxiong continued. In addition, I recently learned that the Wang family has produced a heaven's proud daughter. A heaven's proud daughter? Who? Chen Fan was curious. The Wang family's eldest daughter, Wang Xinru, has been accepted as a direct disciple by the sect master of the mysterious spirit sect, Zhang Tianxiong said. What is the mysterious spirit sect? Chen Fan asked, feeling a bit puzzled. The mysterious spirit sect is a hidden sect in Xia country, with considerable strength. It has many martial arts masters, including several grandmasters. In other words, each of the 5 great families in Xia country has such hidden sects behind them. By becoming the personal disciple of the sect master of the mysterious spirit sect, Wang Xinru has gained the support of this powerful hidden sect. Therefore, the Wang family now has this huge backer, which is why they have so many ambitions, Zhang Tianxiong explained with a serious expression. Chapter 118, Return to the Qinghao Old Mansion. Upon hearing Zhang Tianxiong's words, Chen Fan easily recalled his own Tianqin clan in the Qingxian Star domain. The Tianqin clan, also known as the Jinshi Tianqin clan, was a cultivation family under the Great Tao sect. The ancestor of the Tianqin clan was a senior alchemist of the Great Tao sect, but he failed to achieve nascent soul stage and left the Great Tao sect to establish the Tianqin clan on Mount Jinshi. Because of their connection to the Great Tao sect, talented members of the Tianqin clan would be sent to the Great Tao sect for cultivation, and in return, the Great Tao sect would reward them with various cultivation resources to aid their development. Therefore, the Tianqin clan's greatest trust was in the Great Tao sect. However, the Great Tao sect betrayed the Tianqin clan for the Chaos Pearl, becoming one of Chen Fan's enemies. But this hidden sect Xianling Gate seemed to be different from the Great Tao sect. So he asked, what's the origin of the Xianling Gate? Ning Rushuan, who had been silent, spoke up, Well, Xia country has a history of thousands of years, naturally giving rise to many cultivation forces. Some have perished, but others have endured to this day. If we were to evaluate, each hidden sect is an S-class or even higher force, and the Xianling Gate is an S-class force. Behind Xia country's 5 great families are the shadows of these hidden sects. As for the relationship between the two sides, I know very little. But one thing is certain, to counterbalance Xia country's 5 great families, one must have the support of hidden sects. Now that Wang Xinru has become the direct disciple of the Xianling Gate sect master, the Wang family has this powerful backing. Naturally, they want to aim higher. However, the Xianling Gate will not fully support the Wang family just because of Wang Xinru. Now, the Wang family also has many experts within the clan. For example, the Wang family's ancestor currently ranks 13th on the Earth list and is the highest-ranking grandmaster in Jang Nan. He can be said to be an invincible grandmaster in Jang Nan. In addition to the ancestor, the Wang family has trained several grandmasters in recent years. Moreover, among the younger generation, apart from Wang Xinru, there are many geniuses. Especially Wang Xinru's younger brother, Wang Tianqin, who is extremely outstanding in all aspects. So, with such momentum, the Wang family naturally wants to make a difference. They must make a difference to gain the full support of the Xianling Gate and become the 6th largest family in Xia country. The first thing the Wang family must achieve is to unify Jang Nan. And the relationship between Huatian sect and the Wang family is actually a perfect match, mutually beneficial. Chen Fan nodded slightly after listening to Ning Rushuan's words, thoroughly understanding the Wang family's strength and the ins and outs of the matter. Talking so much, the Wang family does sound formidable. But we have Master Qin. What do we have to fear from the Wang family? Chao Hu laughed heartily beside him. Zhang Tianxiong also nodded slightly. The power displayed by Chen Fan's punch was astonishing, and afterwards, when Fu Chuan of the Fu family transmitted the message that Chen Fan controlled thunder and transformed dragons with one hand, it was truly divine means. This made him even more awed by Chen Fan. Chen Fan just smiled. What Wang family, what Huatian sect, and even the so-called hidden Xianling Gate, Chen Fan truly didn't care about any of them. Afterwards, the group began discussing the press conference and banquet for the establishment of Tianqin Company. This press conference and banquet were naturally very important. All the big shots from Jang Nan would gather at that time. By using this opportunity to integrate the forces in Jang Nan in Chen Fan's name, they could completely counter the Wang family. Soon, they discussed the time, and Chen Fan noted it down. It was in 7 days. "Oh right, Master Qin, have you had any dealings with the military recently?" After sending away Jiang Qingning and the others, Zhang Tianxiong suddenly asked for no reason, "The military?" Chen Fan was a little surprised at first, then shook his head and said, "Some people from Kunlun came to me before, asking some questions, but then there was no further news." "What happened?" Jiang Qingning asked curiously. "I have some connections with the military, but for some reason, they found me and inquired about Master Qin's affairs, so I found it strange," Zhang Tianxiong explained. "What did you tell them?" Chen Fan asked. "The military intelligence system is so powerful." "What else could I say?" Zhang Tianxiong replied. Zhang Tianxiong was aware that the military had an intelligence system. If they wanted to investigate Chen Fan, it would be easy and straightforward. There was no need for them to beat around the bush to inquire about Chen Fan, so he was really puzzled about why they came to him. He was also puzzled about why they wanted to inquire about Chen Fan. Chen Fan smiled at this. It was clear that the military couldn't find his true information and could only approach Zhang Tianxiong. "However, Master Qin, since the military is inquiring about you, there must be a reason. I'm sure they'll come looking for you soon," Zhang Tianxiong reminded. Chen Fan shrugged, appearing indifferent. He had been approached before. Soon, Chen Fan sent away these people and returned to the living room, picking up his phone, which had been charging. His phone had run out of battery before arriving in Huaxi, so he had been in shutdown mode all this time. When he came back, he remembered to charge it. After turning on his phone, Chen Fan saw many missed calls and unread messages from Lin Xingyan. After thinking for a moment, he dialed Lin Xingyan's number. At this moment, Lin Xingyan was still in a meeting at Xiuli Company. Because of the establishment of Tianqin Company, she needed to prepare a good enough plan to become a partner of Tianqin Company, especially now that the main product of Tianqin Company had been leaked, and even some samples had been released. The beauty effects were truly amazing. So Lin Xingyan wanted the company to secure the advertising for this product, and she even had an idea for the spokesperson. Beep beep. At this moment, Lin Xingyan's phone rang, and she saw that it was Chen Fan calling. Then her face turned cold, and she decisively hung up, muttering to herself, "Bastard, your phone has been off for 20 days. I don't want to answer it." After hanging up, Lin Xingyan found that the plan couldn't be finalized, so she immediately adjourned the meeting and hurried back. On the other hand, Chen Fan saw that he was hung up on, so he called several times in a row, but he was still hung up on. Feeling helpless, he left the villa and drove Lin Xingyan's old car back to Lin Xingyan's villa. "Xiaofan, you finally came back. Your phone has been off for so long, Miss Lin was so worried about you." Wang Yante saw Chen Fan appear and immediately cared. Chen Fan shrugged, wanting to speak, but then he heard a cold voice from behind, "Who cares about him? I thought he died outside." Chen Fan heard the voice and looked outside, only to see Lin Xingyan, who had just returned, looking at him coldly. He could only smile and say, "I didn't bring a charger, so I had to turn it off." Lin Xingyan rolled her eyes and then walked up to Chen Fan, speaking coldly, "After coming back, can you take a few days off?" Chen Fan thought for a moment and then nodded, "Okay. Then tomorrow, come with me to the Qinghe Old Mansion." Lin Xingyan spoke up. 119. Why do you want me to go back to the old mansion with you? Chen Fan asked as he sat beside Lin Xingyan. Yesterday, Chen Fan had asked, but Lin Xingyan was still angry about Chen Fan's disappearance for 20 days without contacting her, so she didn't answer Chen Fan's question at all. However, this morning, Lin Xingyan's attitude seemed to have improved a lot, so Chen Fan asked again. "To see my grandmother," Lin Xingyan replied. "Your grandmother? Do you want me to go to see her as a doctor?" Chen Fan asked. "You? Forget it. My grandmother's illness has stumped many famous doctors. This time, I just want her to meet you," Lin Xingyan replied. "Meet me? Was it your grandmother's request?" Chen Fan asked. "Yes, my grandmother said that as long as I bring a boyfriend back, she will return to Jiangqin with me," Lin Xingyan said. "Oh, so my identity as your boyfriend is not just a cover?" Chen Fan remarked. Lin Xingyan rolled her eyes at Chen Fan and said sarcastically, "Do you feel embarrassed to be my boyfriend?" "No, it's just part of my job," Chen Fan said. Upon hearing this, Lin Xingyan felt a bit disappointed and didn't say anything more. "By the way, your grandmother's old house is in Qinghe City in the countryside, just a 3-hour drive away. Why didn't we drive there? Why take the train?" Chen Fan asked strangely. "My grandmother had a psychological trauma from a car accident on the expressway when she was young," Lin Xingyan explained. "Oh," Chen Fan responded and didn't say anything else. Soon, the train arrived at the station, and Chen Fan and Lin Xingyan boarded it, taking their seats according to their tickets. "When you meet my grandmother, just say you're my fiancé," Lin Xingyan suddenly said to Chen Fan after they boarded the train. "Change to fiancé now?" Chen Fan was stunned. "Isn't this different from what the contract says? I don't know how many men would like to be my fiancé. Why do you feel embarrassed?" Lin Xingyan was a bit angry when she heard this. "It's all fake anyway. You can find anyone willing to do it," Chen Fan said flatly. Lin Xingyan wanted to hit Chen Fan for his annoying remarks. Was she really embarrassed to be with him? She took a deep breath and said, "We still have a 4-month contract, and besides, if I find someone new now, how do I know what kind of person he is? At least with you, I know you pretty well. Except for bragging, you're pretty good in all aspects, so I don't want to find someone else." Chen Fan thought for a moment and then said, "Well, in that case, have you wanted to take me to meet your grandmother for a long time?" If she really wanted to see her grandmother, since it's all fake, she could find anyone suitable. There was no need to wait for Chen Fan to come back. Lin Xingyan rolled her eyes and said, "It's because someone suddenly disappeared for 20 days and didn't turn on his phone." Chen Fan shrugged, indicating that he couldn't be blamed for this. Unlike those who couldn't live without their phones for a second, he only used his phone to answer calls. Lin Xingyan didn't pay any attention to Chen Fan and took out her laptop to work. "What's this? A proposal?" Chen Fan leaned over to take a look. "For Tianqin Company's proposal?" The samples leaked from Tianqin Company are amazing, so the prospects for cooperation are excellent. "Of course, I have to figure out a way to cooperate with Tianqin Company," Lin Xingyan replied. "As long as you want to, there should be no problem." "They will definitely cooperate with you," Chen Fan immediately said. Why do you sound like you're the big boss of Tianqin Company? Lin Qingyan said unkindly. I am, Chen Fan said. Believe you? Don't make me laugh. Lin Qingyan rolled her eyes and said, the boss of Tianqin Company is called Master Qin. Although you both have the same surname, you're definitely not that Master Qin. Chen Fan could only spread his hands, feeling helpless. If you were Master Qin, why would you still be doing a part-time job that pays 10,000 a month? Lin Qingyan continued to look at him provocatively. That was after I became your fake boyfriend, Chen Fan explained. Lin Qingyan paused for a moment, then glared at Chen Fan and said, others say that you can tell a person's character when they're 3 years old, but you've only been pretending to be Tianqin's Master Qin for 2 months. Who would believe it? Chen Fan felt that Lin Qingyan's words made sense. A poor intern doctor who became the illustrious Master Qin of Jang Nan in just 2 months. Anyone with common sense wouldn't believe it. However, he wasn't an ordinary person. Although he tried his best to make himself more like an ordinary person, his strength couldn't be hidden. Let's stop talking nonsense. I have to revise the proposal. I must make it perfect for the Tianqin Company's investment presentation, Lin Qingyan said. Chen Fan didn't say anything more, but quietly closed his eyes and rested, waiting for the train to arrive. About an hour later, the train arrived at Qinghe City. Qinghe City was similar to Jiangcheng, but the Lin family's old mansion was not in the city but in a town below Qinghe City. Chen Fan found it strange. Why was the Lin family's old mansion in Qinghe City while their industries were in Jiangcheng? After leaving the train station, Lin Qingyan hailed a taxi and headed straight for the old mansion. It took about an hour to reach the Lin family's old mansion. This used to be called the landlord's house. Looking at the Lin family's old mansion, Chen Fan couldn't help but joke. The Lin family's old mansion was a 3-in-3-out courtyard, very quaint, reminiscent of some ancient mansions in the Qingxian Star domain. Lin Qingyan didn't pay attention to Chen Fan but said, remember what I told you on the way here. Don't mess up and try to deceive as much as possible. I got it, Chen Fan replied. Then, Lin Qingyan naturally took Chen Fan's hand and walked into the Lin family's old mansion. Dawn. Just as Chen Fan stepped into the Lin family's ancient mansion, he felt a slight movement in his mind and soul space, and the Chaos Pearl actually reacted.